Welcome back to the UCL Fantasy deadline stream, this time at a Matchday 12, the second leg of the round of 16. We have free transfers available, and I have been asked in a lot of my recent videos, can we roll over transfers? No, that is the answer. You can only do that in the league phase, aka the group stages. You cannot do it in any other stage of the competition. That includes the knockout playoff rounds, which just happened, and now we're on the knockout stages. You can't roll transfers between match days, and for the second leg of each round, you get free transfers like we do right now. And for the first leg of the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and the Champions League final, you will get 5 free transfers. I've still got the wildcard in my back pocket, and for those in a similar situation, I'd advise you to really tackle what's right in front of you, be aggressive, and go for these 1 week punts, and you can always have the wildcard to bail you out. Let's get straight into your comments and questions. As always, like this stream, support the channel by subscribing, and do all of that good stuff. There are many links in the description below, like my X, Instagram, and Blue Sky, the Discord server, UCL Fantasy League, and Spotify as well. So Expert Tube says, can't wait. Well, hopefully you're still here. Emra says, does someone know? Yeah, that's the question I just answered. So hopefully you are still here. And a lot of people in the live chat have also done the same thing. But basically, you can't roll transfers at this stage of the competition. So Luis is right. The same goes for Easy99, who puts his team Sommer, Martinez, Grimaldo, Gabriel, Flamingo, Hakimi, De Vrij, Salah, Dembele, Musiala, Rafinha, Rodgers, Guirassy, Lewandowski, Vinicius. Yeah, I also advise anybody watching to not make any transfers yet. Wait for the early lineups of Barcelona versus Benfica. We might also get more news from other teams, especially those playing today. And there are some updates about De Vrij, for example, which I'm going to get into very soon. Yeah, Easy99, this was all covered in my team selection video yesterday about De Vrij, but there is a very positive update about him, and it looks like he could be starting for Inter Milan. Yeah, Sommer will start. That's also confirmed by Inzaghi himself, so that is pretty much nailed on to happen. And Sky Sports Italia are very reliable when it comes to predicting Inter Milan's starting 11, and it looks like Sommer is going to start here. I'd have no doubts about that. With De Vrij, despite the positive updates we got this morning, I'd still have a slight concern because he suffered from fatigue over the weekend. The same goes for Lautaro Martinez, but yeah, I think De Vrij will also start. Ray puts a super chat in. Guirassy, Mbappe, Lewandowski, Rafinha, Rodgers, Salah, Dembele, Adeyemi, Chan, De Vrij, Rudiger, Gabriel, Bastoni, Raya, Szczesny. Free transfers, 3.9 million in the bank. What the hell do I do? Got no wildcard or limitless. Yeah, I get that. For those without any chip, you also have to think about the long term. So even these Grimaldos, for example, who you don't have, they might be good for this match day, but ultimately you're probably going to have to sell them in match day 13. So with your forward line, I'm actually very happy with it. I don't think you need to make any changes. I would have possibly suggested Lautaro Martinez, but because he's not going to start, it looks like it'll be Taremi and Thuram, and there is a slight chance for Arnautovic to also fit into that starting 11. I'd avoid Lautaro Martinez. And in terms of other forwards to buy this week, do any of them really stand out above the ones you have? I wouldn't really say so. With the midfield, it also looks very solid, but you might argue that Dembele out to an Odegaard or perhaps even a Bayern Munich midfielder could be a really good long-term acquisition for your team. And to be fair up front, you could argue that Harry Kane is a great option. Maybe to replace Guirassy. I think Borussia Dortmund will be knocked out, despite their decent away record in Europe. So I think those are some transfers to consider. Guirassy to Harry Kane, Dembele to Musiala or Elise. In that defensive line, Bastoni will be benched, it looks like, so I would sell him. You could go to Dumfries or perhaps another defender from another team. So you haven't covered Liverpool defensively. Maybe you go to Trent or Van Dijk. So those are 3 decent ideas for you and your transfer plans. You can always sell the likes of Emre Can in future rounds, like, for example, Matchday 13. So maybe he's another one you want to sell. And there are some predicted lineups. Pretty much all of them I've seen don't have Gabriel in there. So I'm actually considering swapping him to Saliba myself. So in that defensive line, you might have 2 or 3 headaches. De Vrij, it looks like he's going to start. I'll cover that very soon. But in terms of the other positions, I think it's just Dembele to a Bayern midfielder, as mentioned before. If not Harry Kane in for Guirassy, perhaps. I think that looks fairly decent. But it also depends on your budget. You say 3.9 million in the bank, so I think you could actually navigate those moves quite well. Richard Millerchip says, hey Dylan, best Verts replacement out of Rodgers, an Arsenal mid, or another mid playing tomorrow? Yeah, midfielders playing tomorrow, not too convinced really, apart from the ones you've mentioned. My other midfielders I'd suggest to replace Verts would be Bellingham and Kalinoglu. who should start actually for Inter Milan. So from what you're saying, yes, Rodgers or Odegaard for me. And that's difficult to say. I think Odegaard will start, but will Arsenal kind of go all out for the attack like they did in the first leg? Probably not, but I still think they can score a few goals. Difficult one. I might lean towards Rodgers here, but not by much. Transfer out Hakimi or Schlotterbeck. I think Schlotterbeck is a better option for matchday 12, but both of them will probably concede. Hakimi's got more attacking potential, but the ball recoveries is certainly an advantage for Schlotterbeck. And I think Dortmund, it's more likely they keep a clean sheet against Lille than Hakimi does against Liverpool. So I'd recommend Schlotterbeck over Hakimi this week. What about Tielemans instead of Rodgers? Yeah, he's another alternative. I'm just not as keen on Tielemans as I would have been earlier in this season, where he started very well. And you've also got Asensio, who's going to be in the squad. That's another report I'll be covering soon. But yeah, look, it's not a bad option. He can get more ball recoveries than Rodgers. And in terms of the pecking order for penalties, you know, you've got Asensio, who might be first now when he's on the pitch. Watkins and Tielemans would be sharing second place in those rankings. So that's an advantage he has over Rodgers. But I have to say, I don't think Rodgers is too far away from penalty duties. I think he might be a better penalty taker than Ollie Watkins. But yeah, for me, Rodgers is the more attacking option. And in the last two match days in UCL Fantasy, he got 20 points against Celtic, scoring a hat-trick. And he got a 9-pointer and a Player of the Match award in Matchday 9, so, or Matchday 12, I should say. No, Matchday 11, the first leg, basically. Yeah, Lautaro isn't going to start. Yeah, that's all been covered in my videos. Would you go for both Alisson and Trent? I think one's enough for now, but long-term, that's a nice play. I'd expect Liverpool to reach the semi-finals at the very least. I think their quarter-finals is arguably quite easy. Aston Villa would be slightly tougher, of course, than Club Brugge, but it's still not the most difficult of opponents, let's say, for reaching a Champions League semi-final. Could Dumfries' risk of suspension make him getting benched? I don't think so. It's a good question you raise, but Inter Milan have a lot of injuries in those wing-back positions. You'd mainly see rotation in the centre-back positions like Bastoni. He's the one that will reportedly be benched, not Dumfries. Yeah, Vera, I think you've said that in the last couple of FPL and UCL Fantasy videos. I saw your score. Watkins and Çalhanoğlu or Thuram and Rodgers? That's a close one. Taremi's been very inconsistent all season, but he got one big return. I think it was against Red Star Belgrade. He got 16 points. So that's the sort of ceiling you're kind of aiming for, and then you sell him for matchday 13. But I think it's Watkins and Çalhanoğlu for me. Not by much, though. Wirtz is out. He's not playing. That's all been covered across all my videos. He's going to miss the next couple of weeks. How do you know Lautaro ain't starting? It's 100%. Well, Sky Sports Italia are very reliable. They've put a lineup without Lautaro Martinez, and a lot of different predicted lineups and sources indicated that Lautaro Martinez had some fatigue. The same with De Vrij, and he won't start in matchday 12. But with De Vrij now, it has changed a little bit, and it looks like he will get the nod over Acerbi for the second leg. What to do with Limitless? I think it's the best time to use it from what you have available. I've always been consistent saying I'd rather use it in the group stages, the league phase, but you know, that's already gone for you. And in terms of weaker opposition like PSV, for example, you won't have that most likely going into the quarterfinals. It'll be cagier matches, more difficult to anticipate the results and the hauls. So I'd rather use the Limitless right now. And you can check out my Limitless video. I provided an updated version in my wildcard team as well. And maybe towards or later on in this stream, I'll provide an even updated version, should we say, for both the wildcard and the Limitless, because the likes of Gabriel, for example, might not start. That's something else we might have to think about. Yeah, I don't think Bastoni will play. He isn't in any of the predicted lineups I've seen, and that was also, I think, covered in my team selection yesterday. I would sell Bastoni, but don't make any transfers yet. Wait for the lineups for Barcelona, Benfica, and by 5, 6 p.m, well, at least before the deadline, we could actually get more information about Inter Milan and maybe things change. Because, for example, this morning, it looked like De Vrij wouldn't start, and now it seems he will get the nod over Acerbi. Yeah, Salah's a good captain. I don't think he's been great in the Champions League, though, I'll be honest. I think he's been levels below what he's done in the Premier League. The likes of Rafinha, for example, have been superior in this Champions League, but things can change very quickly. And against PSG, which is a tough opponent, I still think Liverpool win the game, and Salah will be key. Yeah, Grimaldo will play. He was benched over the weekend, but that was probably just to give him a rest and to rotate a little bit. I think Leverkusen will go all out for this Champions League game. because otherwise they've just got the German Cup to look forward to. The Bundesliga is almost wrapped up, and Bayern Munich should be winning. Yeah, Martinez is in the squad. Yeah, I think so. I think he'll start. Yeah, Vitinha's a decent option for ball recoveries, but if you're looking at PSG midfielders, then Dembele's the standout. Then you've got Barcola and Kvaratskhelia, who offer more attacking options than Vitinha. John G says, hi Dylan, how close is your Rafinha Salah captaincy decision? Well, I've been on Rafinha all week, so I'm not sure how close it is. Maybe it isn't so close, but Salah is worth considering. The season he's having is incredible. I just don't think he's matched the output from the Premier League in the Champions League this season. He has blanked quite a lot of times, but at Anfield, it's difficult to back against him. Kane or Mbappe? Long term, I'd argue Kane, but that's a difficult one to say. For the second leg, it's also close. I don't see much in it, but I think Bayern Munich might be defensive, defending that 3-0 lead instead of going all out, and yeah, that's a really close one to call. I'd probably say Mbappe this week, but not by much. Elise or Musiala? I prefer Elise, but if money is no issue for you, it's not really a big deal. I think it's very close between them. On some occasions, you'll see Musiala outscoring him. I've been on the wrong end of it in the last couple of match days, unfortunately, but I think Elise overall. Watkins or Kane? It's still Kane for me, but for this match day specifically, I think Watkins is up there, facing Club Brugge at home. No lineups are out yet. I mean, we're literally we're still 2 hours away from the deadline and from the early kickoff, so expect the Barcelona and Benfica lineups to be out in an hour's time. Real Madrid are the only kind of team that post their squad hours in advance, so you can sometimes see their lineups very early, but otherwise always expect it to be 1 hour before kickoff or 1 hour 15 minutes. Thank you, Mitra, for the super chat. If De Vrij starts, then Schlotterbeck to Inigo Martinez. That's a decent shout. I do prefer Koundé if you want to cover Barcelona defensively. And it's worth mentioning once again that Inigo Martinez is 1 yellow card away from suspension. So to avoid that, I think Koundé's a better option. And he's superior in terms of ball recoveries as well. No Vicky, as mentioned a few times in the stream and yesterday, Lautaro Martinez will probably not start unless something changes in the next hour or so and we get something definitive by Sky Sports Italia. It looks like Taremi and Thuram will start. Even Arnautovic is above Lautaro Martinez in the pecking order in terms of likelihood of starting. Yeah, Sommer's going to play. What are you doing with Wirtz? Selling. He's out. I mean, there's no reason for me to keep him. It's just decoration if I do that. Time to get rid of Gabriel? Possibly. That's something I let patrons and channel members know about with my updated transfer plans a few hours ago, and I'll talk about them later in the stream, but I'm looking at Gabriel to Saliba as one possible move. Will my free transfers go on to the next round? You can't roll. So if you make no transfers, it doesn't mean you'll have 8 transfers for the next round because everyone gets 5 and you can't roll in the knockout stages. Jude or Musiala for today? Still Musiala for me, but it's close. Time to clear out the Dortmund players from my team? Yeah, not completely, I think, but if you've got 4 like myself, which hasn't really paid off, I trim it down to 2 maybe. It depends on the circumstances, but 1 or 2 is fine. Yeah, Pavard should play, but once again, I'm basing it off Sky Sports Italia. Usually they've gotten it spot on with every single lineup. Essentially, they've got inside information, but things change. Maybe, I don't know, someone pulls out of the lineup due to illness or injury. Things happen, so take it with a pinch of salt, but from what I've seen, and I'll show you on screen very soon, the lineup, Pavard is in it. Yamal, Olmo, or Bellingham? For this match day, I like Olmo for this match day, but long-term, Bellingham's the best one. So it kind of depends. If you've got the wildcard in your back pocket, then I'd suggest going short-term. Barcelona attacker is the way. But longer-term, especially if you've got Lewandowski and Rafinha already, I think Bellingham is a more consistent option. Rodrigo over Mbappe. If you're looking to buy someone new, that's not a bad shout, but I wouldn't sell Mbappe to Rodrigo. No chance. And I do think long-term he'll score more goals. Yeah, Sommer's better than Alisson this match day. I agree. But once again, if you've got Alisson, do you sell him to Sommer? It seems like a luxury transfer. I mean, you might be struggling. You're really happy with a 50-man squad. And that is a slight upgrade for this week, so fair enough. But I think Alisson and Liverpool can keep a clean sheet against PSG at home. That was my original prediction, for them to concede in Paris, 1 or 2 goals there, and then keep a clean sheet at Anfield. So we'll see how that pans out. But yeah, I think Mbappe is better than Rodrigo, and Sommer is superior to Alisson, despite what happened in matchday 11. Mitra says, same midfielders as you, top 3 Wirtz replacements. Yeah, so essentially what I discussed in my team selection, I think I'll be very consistent on that. Calhanoglu will be up there alongside Odegaard and Rodgers. Now, Asensio is in the squad, so maybe he's going to start, and that would make him very appealing for me. But in terms of 3 kind of secure options for me this week, it's going to be those 3. Calhanoglu's my favourite right now. He does play a deep role, but he's on penalties. He gets some decent ball recoveries at times. And I think he's a very decent option. He scored over the weekend upon his return. Inter Milan were 2-0 down. They ended up winning 3-2, and he was player of the match, actually. Odegaard has a great record against PSV. He scored against them last season in Matchday 1, a 4-0 victory for Arsenal upon their return to the Champions League. And the other one, Rodgers, has been very good in the Champions League in recent matches. Hat-trick in Matchday 8, and of course, a player of the match award in game week 11. Sommer starting? Yeah. Check Szczesny, please. See the price. He's 4 million. Bellingham Musiala, I just covered that, mate, Osama. So for today, it's close. I'd probably favour Musiala. Long term, Bellingham might be more consistent, to be fair, but it also depends on context. Do you have Elise already? Do you have a Madrid attacker or Harry Kane? These things are also important because I'd rather diversify your attack instead of going all in on certain teams. But don't get me wrong, an offensive double-up can work out. I think Bayern Munich showed that in Matchday 11. Lewandowski and Rafinha have been excellent all season. But yeah, I think short-term, at least for Matchday 12, I do favour Musiala a little bit. Nope. I'm going to try to avoid these repeat questions. I get it. Some people are tuning in late to the chat, but Lautaro Martinez probably won't start. Ben Sabani, will he start? I think so. And Svensson is out for Borussia Dortmund, which I think makes Ben Sabani a bit more nailed on, actually. Martinez or Guirassy? Martinez won't start, it looks like, so Guirassy for me. Keep Zolis as a differential this week or sell. He's one of the more likely from Club Brugge to do something, but I'd probably sell. Yeah, as just covered a few minutes ago, mate, I would probably replace Wirtz with Calhanoglu, Odegaard or Rodgers, but some people might not have Bellingham. He's another one to consider. You've also got the midfielders I've got on screen, so Elise, this could easily be Musiala as well. I think the best ones are Rafinha, Salah. I think those 2 are the best ones, but I think most of us have them already. Frimpong or Grimaldo? Not much in it, but I do prefer Grimaldo. Richard says, help. In attack I have Wirtz and Lautaro doubtful. In defence I have Gabriel and Bastoni. And Grimaldo, Schlotterbeck and Micheli, all likely to get knocked out. Pick 3 transfers. Grimaldo is fine to keep right now, same with Schlotterbeck. Focus on the ones who could be benched or the ones that will miss out entirely like Wirtz. So Wirtz is definitely the one you want to sell first. I covered replacements just a few times now, so I don't know who you have in the midfield, but yeah, apart from Salah and Rafinha, I'd be looking at maybe another Barcelona midfielder. In your case, with no Limitless or Wildcard, it looks like, and you really want someone long-term, I think Bellingham is a nice option, if not Calhanoglu. I'd keep Gabriel for now, but Bastoni, it looks like he'll be benched. With Gabriel, there's no certainty with that. I've just seen different sources indicate that it will be Kivior starting and Gabriel gets a rest, which would be deserved. Yeah, Grimaldo, Schlotterbeck I'd keep, and maybe I'd sell Micheli, or in this case, you'd sell both Gabriel and Bastoni, keep Micheli, but I'm not a big fan of that. Is Raya likely to be replaced by Neto? It's possible. I wouldn't say it's likely. Do you know what type of injury Wirtz has? Ankle injury. He's going to be out for a couple of weeks. The other day, Kicker reported that he could be out for the rest of the season, but Bayer Leverkusen posted an official update yesterday, and he will be out for several weeks, which includes the matches for Germany against Italy. De Vrij, it looks like he'll start now. I'm getting a lot of questions about Inter Milan, I get it, so we might as well go into that, otherwise we'll be running around in circles. So this is the league code for UCL Fantasy. If you haven't already joined, the code is cCaFxb. There is an auto-join link in the description, and it's the biggest UCL Fantasy league in the world. Next up is Predict 6. I've gone for Barcelona 3, Benfica 1, Inter Milan 2, Feyenoord 0, Liverpool 2, PSG 1, Arsenal 2, PSV 0, Atletico Madrid 1, Real Madrid 1, Aston Villa 2, Club Brugge 1. Those are my current predictions. I might change a few of them, but I did a few of those late modifications last time out and it actually backfired massively, so I'll try to avoid that if possible. So this is Barcelona's squad, but I'm not going to talk too much about, oh, is Rafinha going to start and yada yada yada, because we get those lineups in an hour's time. So this is the squad for Barcelona. No real surprises here. So Gavi was ill, but he still travelled there, so good news for them. Lewandowski had a slight problem on Saturday, which I covered in yesterday's team selection video, but he will also be available. And the other ones to look out for, well, Pau Cubarsí is suspended, of course. He'll return for matchday 13 should Barcelona progress to the next round. And then the likes of Bernal and ter Stegen are out, which is nothing new there, really. This is for Aston Villa. Great news for them. Emi Martinez, Asensio and Onana will all be named in Villa's squad to face Club Brugge after they trained at Aston Villa's training ground. So Barkley's the only one who remains sidelined. Aston Villa have a lot of key players returning from injury. For Inter Milan, this is what I was on about. So there was an update today, according to a reliable journalist for Sky Sports Italia, who indicates De Vrij will now start out of Acerbi. So for Inter Milan, this will likely be the lineup. They usually are spot on with their predictions. Sommer in goal, Pavard, De Vrij and Bisek, with Dumfries, Fratesi, Kalanoglu, Mkhitaryan and Carlos Augusto, who returns from injury. Thuram and Taremi up front. No Lautaro Martinez, no Bastoni. They will be given a rest, it seems, and they'll probably be on the bench, of course, but that is not ideal for a UCL Fantasy asset. Next up is with Arsenal. So Arteta said that everyone who played against Man United is still available, so nothing new from that front. And his quotes do indicate that Ben White might get a start here. He did say at the end of this quote, but I think he's in a good position now to give him a start. But they have been quite cautious of him. He has been out for several months, and he's been a massive miss for Arsenal on that right-hand side. But it looks like against PSV, Ben White could be their upright back, maybe at the expense of Jurrien Timber. So for Real Madrid, Tchouaméni and Camavinga will start versus Atletico. The same goes for Raul Asensio, who has been fairly impressive for Real Madrid in recent match days. So those are the latest updates from this morning. There might be even more. There's a lot to keep on top of with UCL Fantasy, but everything else which has happened on Saturday, Sunday and Monday, they were all addressed in my team selection video yesterday. That's why it was a lengthy one, and everything you need to know for matchday 12 was covered there. But the biggest kind of update, I think, from yesterday is with Inter Milan. So if we go back to that one more time, this is what they put as their lineup yesterday, but this morning they have modified it and they say that De Vrij will likely start over Acerbi. That is definitely worth mentioning, and it does help me with my UCL Fantasy team. It means I can focus my transfers and efforts elsewhere. So hopefully you all got that, and later on when the Benfica and Barcelona lineups are out, they will be addressed and covered on screen, and I'll also talk about any other news. Before I go back to my UCL Fantasy team though, it's worth showing you a few more predicted lineups. So this is one, and they do have Alisson, Robertson, Van Dijk, Konate, Trent, McAllister, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, Diaz, Darwin and Salah, whilst for PSG is kind of the usual suspects: Donnarumma, Nuno Mendes, Pacho, Marquinhos, Hakimi, Neves, Vitinha, Reis, Barcola, Dembele and Kvaratskhelia. But that is only one predicted lineup. I'd also suggest you check out UEFA.com's set of lineups there. And another one for the same set of games is pretty much identical, but for Liverpool they've gone for Jota instead of Darwin Nunez. And for PSG, pretty much the exact same, actually. I think the only change... No, there isn't any for PSG. Both of them are in agreement, and I'd also share that sentiment. I think that will be the set of lineups. For Bayer Leverkusen, Bayern Munich, they've gone for Kovar in goal, Topsoba, Tar, Hincapié, with Xhaka, Palacios, Frimpong, Grimaldo, Garcia, Adli and Schick. With Bayern Munich, you've got Urbig, who is standing in for the injured Manuel Neuer, Davis, Kim Min-jae, Upamecano and Lima, Goretzka and Kimmich, with Coman, Musiala, Elise and Harry Kane up front. And I think there's one or two changes according to, I think this is Build. Is this Build? No, this is Kicker's predicted lineup. So they've gone for Teller in there and Hermoso for Bayer Leverkusen. And for Bayern Munich, pretty much the exact same actually. So yeah, those are some predicted lineups for you to think about. And this is the full set that you can find on UEFA.com. They're not something to kind of hold true to every single name. They could be wrong about certain things, but yeah, Barcelona, Benfica, I'll avoid talking about their possible lineups because we're going to get that very soon. What I will mention though is the players who are out, doubtful and suspension risks. So for Barcelona, that will be Bernal, Christensen and Cubarsí, who are all out. No doubtful players right now, and Inigo Martinez is a suspension risk whilst at Benfica, Bar, Carreras, Di Maria, Manu Silva, and Govia are all out, and the likes of Amdouni, Arsunes, Bar, Barrero, Kokchu, and Otamendi are all suspension risk there as well. For Inter Milan Feyenoord, as you can see here, they don't have De Vrij in there, but I think he will start. I do trust Sky Sports Italia, but they have gone for, well, Darmian, DeMarco, Zalewski, and Zielinski. They are all out. De Vrij and Lautaro are doubtful, but it looks like the Dutchman will start. And the likes of Aslani, Barella, Bastoni, Dumfries, and Pavard need to avoid another yellow card, otherwise they are suspended. And remember, the yellow cards are wiped out after the quarterfinals, so essentially after matchday 14 and just in time for matchday 15. For Feyenoord, they still have a lot of injury problems. That includes Osman, Biolo, Hwang, Igor Paxao. That is a massive blow there for them. Lotombo, Melambo, Nadje, Nyekwup, Stengs, Timber, and Zaruki. And the suspension risks include Mitchell and Trauner. For Bayer Leverkusen, Bayern Munich. So for, Leverkusen, Mukiele, Belosian, Terrier, and Wirtz are all out. Xhaka and Tapsoba are actual doubts, but both due to illness, they should still start. Andrik, Frimpong, Garcia, Tar, Wirtz, and Xhaka are all suspension risks. And for Bayern Munich, Neuer and Pavlovic are out. And those that could miss the next match, if booked, include Gnabry, Goretzka, and Leroy Sané. The final game of Tuesday, and feel free to pause and see the lineups for yourself. They aren't going to be 100% accurate, but UEFA.com is a great source there. Liverpool have Bradley, Gomez, and Morton out. Gakpo is back in training, and some lineups actually have Gakpo starting, so bear that in mind. I think the main concerns Liverpool and who starts will be up front between Jota, Darwin, and Gakpo. For Paris Saint-Germain, no doubtful players, and they have a fully fit squad. Marquinhos and Fabian Ruiz, though, are suspension risks. For the Wednesday set of games, we've got Lille and Borussia Dortmund, which is the early kickoff tomorrow, so that could be very helpful with substitutions. Zagrova is out for Lille, or the French side. Sarawi and Baka are out. No, sorry, they're doubtful. David and Meunier will miss the next match if booked. Thomas Meunier, that is, who used to play for Borussia Dortmund. Svensson and Mecha are ruled out. Chukwuemeka is doubtful still. And the likes of Bayer, Kuto, Gross, Ryerson, and Sabitzer will miss the next match if booked. For Arsenal PSV, as you can see, this is only one example of a lineup without Gabriel in there. I think Saliba is more likely to start. That's why I'm considering making that move. So Gabriel Jesus, Saka, Tomiyasu, and Havertz are all out. Martinelli returned to the squad and made a cameo against United. He could actually get a possible start here against PSV. Martinelli, Sterling, and Timber will all miss the next match if they pick up a yellow card. And for PSV, Pepe, Tillman, and Badrak Tarovic are all out. De Jong, Mauro Jr., Karsdorp, Malacia, and Veerman are also suspension risks. We are approaching the end of this segment. Aston Villa Club Brugge. Of course, they had a lot of positive updates recently. Anana, Martinez, and Asensio are all available, but they haven't gone for Asensio in this lineup. Barkley is the only player out due to a knee injury. And in terms of players who will miss the next game if booked, that includes Luka Dean, Disasi, Kamara, and Rashford. For Club Brugge, Meja and Seys are out. Onyedika, Seys, Skoras, Zolis, and Vetlesen will miss the next game if booked. And finally, the Madrid derby, Koke is out for the home side. Lenglet and DePaul are doubtful, but I did cover this in yesterday's video. It looks like DePaul has trained with the team and he should start. Lenglet is more of a doubt as he trained individually alongside Koke, but he hasn't been ruled out just yet. Correa and Jimenez will miss the next game if booked. Jesus, it's been a long night. For Real Madrid, Carvajal, Ceballos, Eder Militao, and Vallejo are all out. No doubtful players. Camavinga, Endrick, Militao, Modric, Rudiger, and Tchouameni are all suspension risks there for Los Merengues. Let's now go back to my UCL Fantasy team. I'm not going to make any moves just yet. I'll wait for the lineups and maybe for other possible leaks and stuff like that for the other teams who play on the Tuesday. But Wirtz will almost certainly make way. I mean, that's a no-brainer. De Vrij will be kept in my team unless another update pretty much suggests that he's going to be on the bench. And I'll be looking at making a defender transfer potentially, if not switching one of my goalkeepers. It is a bit difficult, I think, to kind of decide on free players to sell because I think I've got a lot of good players here and it will be the same case for a lot of people watching. But There are still ways to improve. There will be some 50-50 calls, but yeah, I think Wirtz is the one that will definitely go. And then it's just a question of the second and third options that will make way. Gabriel is on the chopping block. I think he could be benched, actually, which is a shame. He is a great UCL fantasy asset. But if I do get a reliable source indicating Gabriel starts, I will keep him and instead focus my efforts on Schlotterbeck and or Kobel being sold to bolster my defensive line. So we do have another super chat in the house. Let's just see if I haven't missed any others. All right, so Anish says, Lautaro out for sure. Taremi, good replacement. Well, every single lineup I've seen, which includes Sky Sports Italia, who are very reliable, they don't have Lautaro Martinez in there. Only 2 players had doubts or issues from the weekend. That includes De Vrij and Lautaro, but only in the case of the Dutchman, De Vrij. He is the only one that is now expected to start. It looks like Lautaro will be on the bench and given a rest. So Thuram and Taremi should start up front. There was 1 or 2 lineups I saw that had Arnautovic there, but I think the general consensus is that he'll be on the bench as well, and it'll be Taremi and Thuram. Those are the ones I'd recommend for a 1-week punt, but not beyond that. I don't like them for the quarterfinals and beyond, where Lautaro will be the starting striker for sure, and you've got so many other options from Real Madrid, Atletico, Bayern Munich, etc. They all offer better value and consistency. Yeah, Gabriel is not injured or anything, by the way. It's just a rest. I think he could be given a rest based on all the lineups I've seen. So that's why he's on the chopping block for me. Will Gabriel, Rudiger, Bastoni start? Gabriel and Bastoni, no. Rudiger should start, yeah. The standard source says Gabriel starts and Saliba benched. Yeah, look, that's what I mean. I didn't see that one, to be fair, but every other lineup I've seen has Saliba in there and Gabriel is dropped for Kivior. And I do think with Arsenal's defender options, they've got a lot of left-backs and some of them were originally centre-backs by trade. For example, you look at Jurrien Timber, who plays on the right now, Ben White. But I think the way it could go is that you see White on the right and he can get 45 minutes to 60, build up his fitness and match sharpness. Then you get Timber coming on. And I wouldn't be surprised, actually, if with Arsenal, we see Gabriel get 45 minutes and Saliba get 45. I honestly wouldn't be surprised. We saw something very similar in Matchday 6 last season against PSV away from home in a 1-1 draw. So I think that is a possibility. But in terms of Kivior coming in, he's a left-footed centre-back and Arsenal primarily play him as a left-back or a left centre-back. So I do think if Kivior comes in, it'll be Gabriel dropping out and not William Saliba. Olmo or Rafinha? Rafinha all day long. Would you buy Kim In-jae for Trent, Rudiger and Gabriel? For Gabriel, but only because he could be benched. If it wasn't for that doubt, I'd keep Gabriel for sure. What do you think about Merino? He's a decent option in terms of the opposition this week. Nothing long-term, but if you want someone as a punt, differential for one match day, he's an okay option, but I wasn't that convinced about Arsenal offensively in the last deadline stream. I hold my hands up, I was wrong for that match, but generally speaking, Arsenal struggle against low mid blocks. We saw that against Man United. They haven't won in 3 Premier League games, only 1 goal scored. But when things click, they're a joy to watch. The likes of Marino, Trossard, Odegaard can all get on in the action. Wanyeri as well. But yeah, if I'm being honest, I'm looking to replace Wirtz, and Marino hasn't really crossed my mind. I was looking at Odegaard instead, and also Calhanoglu, Rodgers, Asensio. I think they're all above him in the pecking order, not to mention Jude Bellingham. Welcome Basunu. Hey Dylan, first time joining a UCL stream. Would you recommend playing UCL Fantasy? Definitely. If you have played the World Cup or Euros, it's very similar in principle with substitutions, ball recoveries and changing the captains between each day. I think it's a lot of fun and everyone has their own preference. A lot of people prefer FPL, but I think UCL Fantasy, generally speaking, has a wider variation, less of a template, and it's much more fun to play at times. So yeah, I'd highly recommend it for sure. Jorge says, hola Dylan, ¿qué te parece Jude para sustituir a Wirtz? Me parece muy bien, recién lo mencioné en inglés. Es una opción a largo plazo, yo creo que Real Madrid va a ganar, o por lo menos empatar 1-1 y avanzar a los cuartos de final. Y creo que contra Arsenal o PSV, seguramente Real Madrid va a ganar también, y Bellingham es una buena opción. Captain Olmo, yeah, I don't mind the punt on the Tuesday. You can always change it and go for a more secure option on the Wednesday if it falls flat. But yeah, my preference is Rafinha and Lewandowski, but he's a nice option, Olmo, for this match day. Jan Sommer, yeah, you should start. As covered before, feel free to rewind and see the Inter Milan lineup I showed 5 to 10 minutes ago. Raya for Kobel, it's a possibility for me, but there is a small chance, albeit very small, that Neto starts instead of David Raya. Guirassy to Kane, have Musiala, or Adeyemi to Odegaard. I prefer Guirassy to Kane. Thoughts on Balde as a cheaper Barcelona defender? He's okay. I don't think he's ever really crossed my mind. I think Szczesny offers better value in goal at 4 million. And in terms of defenders, you've got Koundé. I know he's more expensive, but I think he justifies that with the ball recoveries. No, Bastoni probably won't start, mate, as covered before. Thoughts on Bastoni to Upamecano and Gabriel to Van Dijk? Looks pretty good to me. Just bear in mind that Van Dijk is 1 yellow card away from suspension, but apart from that, he's a good choice. Lucas says, I'm thinking Wirtz out for Hakan or Odegaard and Gabriel for either Koundé, Trent or Rudiger. I'd buy Koundé right now, but they're all decent choices, especially Trent. I think he's even better than Rudiger. And in the midfield is close. I think for this match day, Odegaard might be better, but long term, I'd go for Hakan Çalhanoğlu. Zodiac says, hey Dylan, thank you for all the news about players. Can you show who will be up against each other next Champions League round? Thank you very much. Yeah, we can do that. I haven't shown it in my recent videos, to be fair. So, yeah, what I'm going to do here, I mean, you can see the first leg results and the upcoming fixtures, but what you asked primarily was this. The bracket, the roadmap to the Champions League final. So the winners of Arsenal PSV will face either Real Madrid or Atletico, and right now it seems like it'll be Arsenal. And I'd still favour Real Madrid, but do not discount Atletico. That will be my advice there. Liverpool versus PSG. Yeah, I think Liverpool go through and they will face Aston Villa. And then Barcelona-Benfica against Dortmund-Lille. Right now, it looks like a Barcelona-Lille quarter-final. But Borussia Dortmund are still a decent side, and they could also maybe surprise people based on their poor results recently. They lost 1-0 against Augsburg at home over the weekend. Then Bayern Munich-Leverkusen will face the winners of Feyenoord-Inter Milan. That will likely be Bayern Munich-Inter Milan. And then things get very interesting. So I did a quick bracket towards the end of the last deadline stream. So based on my predictions just now, I think Real Madrid will reach the semi-finals and they will face Liverpool. And on the other side of the bracket, Barcelona versus, I think Inter Milan actually. I think Inter could get the better of Bayern Munich, but that's a close one. And then for the Champions League final, I mean, Liverpool are the better team right now, but I think Real Madrid just have a great record against them. They're kind of Liverpool's kryptonite in this competition, so that's a close one to say, but I think either Real Madrid or Liverpool reach the final on this side of the bracket, and on the other side, Barcelona, Inter Milan, that is close. That is actually a really tough one to call. But that'll be my predictions for the semi-finalists, and we can talk more about that in future rounds of the Champions League as well. What I also want to show you is the odds, which I did talk about in my UCL Fantasy video. So Inter Milan and Arsenal are by far and away the most likely to keep a clean sheet. Aston Villa, Barcelona and Borussia Dortmund complete the top 5. Bayern Munich, Lille, Liverpool, Atletico Madrid, Bayer Leverkusen, Real Madrid, PSG, Club Brugge, PSV, Feyenoord and Benfica complete the rest of the teams in order of clean sheet odds. I do kind of agree with what they're saying, but I do think Inter Milan should be topped by a bigger margin. But Arsenal in second, I think, is a fairly decent assessment. With goal scorer odds, Lewandowski is still top, just like he was for the first leg. Watkins, Rafinha, Lautaro Martinez, and Kane are in the top 5. But it's worth mentioning once again with these odds, these are based on the assumption that these players start. That won't be the case for everybody in this top 15 list, which also includes the likes of Thuram, Yamal, Salah, Mbappe, David, Trossard, Guirassy, Rashford, Dembele, and Schick, who could start there against Bayern Munich. So hopefully that has been very helpful. And just for those that are tuning in maybe a bit late, this is my full segment, the graphics I showed you in yesterday's team selection video. So in terms of Matchday 11, you can see how I did whilst I speak and answer some questions. But what I really want to point you towards is the updated transfer plans and my provisional team selection for Matchday 12. But nothing is locked in, and I wouldn't suggest copying anyway. I know some people will still do it anyway, but it is what it is. And yeah, we still got the early kickoffs between Barcelona and Benfica. Those lineups will come out very soon. And once that happens, we can make an informed decision on that. But in terms of Kobel to Raya, that is still a possibility for me. I don't see myself going from, let's say, Alisson to Szczesny or Sommer. That might be better for matchday 12, and to be fair, in terms of my situation, that's probably what I need to do, go for kind of short-term punts because I've got the wild card in my back pocket, but I think Alisson's got a better chance of a clean sheet than Coble, so I think that's the weak link in my goalkeeper position, and in terms of Wednesday goalkeepers, I think Raya is the most likely to keep a clean sheet, so that's why he is a consideration for me. Some lineups for Arsenal don't have Raya starting though, and instead it could be Neto getting a second start in this season's Champions League. Schlotterbeck to Koundé is another possible transfer, and I do think Koundé is the best way of covering Barcelona defensively, but you've also got Szczesny in goal, and I don't think a defensive double-up is probably worthwhile just yet, but long-term, that does offer security. I think Barcelona reach the semi-finals at the very least, and they've got a good chance of reaching the final once more. So other moves will also include a like-for-like switch, so to speak, of Gabriel to Saliba. They both cost the exact same amount of money, and some sources might indicate Saliba will be dropped and Gabriel starts, so that could be a headache waiting to happen, but I think if Kivior comes in, he's a left-footed centre-back, he will come in for Gabriel and Saliba will start instead. But could they share 45 minutes each? That is another possibility which we shouldn't completely discount. And with Arsenal's situation being 7-1 up, and depending on how the second leg goes tomorrow, we could see Arsenal rotate quite a bit within the match and make some changes and early substitutions as well. Moving on to other possible transfers, that includes Wirtz to Odegaard. That is one of my top considerations in the midfield. Another one that you won't see on screen, but I think is definitely worth mentioning, is Jude Bellingham, who is now back from suspension with a very decent break actually, because he didn't actually play in the Liga as well, with another suspension in that competition. I think the most likely midfielder to come in for me would be Çalhanoğlu, but Rodgers is another one I'm considering, who does play tomorrow, of course, and that gives me a decent balance between Tuesday and Wednesday, but I don't mind having 9 or 10 Tuesday players. That's not too shabby. I think having 11 or more might be overkill, you could say, and you might have some headaches about who to actually leave on the bench in the end, but that is something else I could do by getting Rodgers in to cover that Villa attack. And then Çalhanoğlu, who should start there, according to Sky Sports Italia and several different sources. He's on penalties and a very decent long-term option in my opinion. I think they'll reach the semi-final stage, although facing Bayern Munich or Leverkusen will be extremely tough, should they go through against Feyenoord, of course. And the other transfer which I'm not too keen on now is Guirassy to Taremi. That would be just a one matchday punt, basically, and going all in for the second leg of the round of 16, and Taremi would be sold either on the wildcard or using 5 free transfers for matchday 13, but it's less likely than the other transfers I just showed you. So bearing all of that in mind, this will be my likely final 11, but it is not locked in and there could be several late changes. So not too much has changed from my team selection video, but because De Vrij is now expected to start, I would like to keep him and double up on Inter Milan defensively, having Alisson in goal against PSG at home and Grimaldo facing Bayern Munich. I think Leverkusen have a great record at home, especially in the Champions League, so I don't mind having 1 or 2 Bayer Leverkusen assets for one last time, and Grimaldo is probably their best option. In the midfield, I've got the likes of Rafinha, Salah, Elise, and potentially Çalhanoğlu, but this could be either Bellingham, Odegaard, or Rodgers instead. But that is going to be a very close call. And up front, I'm quite happy to keep Lewandowski, Mbappe, and Guirassy, despite the fact that they all blanked in matchday 11. As for my bench, it looks fairly decent. It could be Raya replacing Coble, and I've also got the likes of Saliba, Schlotterbeck, and Adeyemi. But there is a possibility that I keep Coble and sell Schlotterbeck to Koundé instead, or maybe go to Saliba whilst keeping Gabriel in my setup. So there's a few things that could change here or there. And with the captaincy, the same kind of applies in that metric. Rafinha is my Tuesday captain as things stand, but I'm considering Salah and Lewandowski. And for the Wednesday, I think Mbappe is the standout, but even the likes of Guirassy and Adeyemi are decent alternatives there, should I keep them in my final 15-man squad. But that is pretty much all you need to know in terms of my current team selection and updated transfer plans, and you can also see a detailed analysis during my team selection video yesterday. Let's now go back to my UCL Fantasy team and to more of your super chats. I think there's one that's just come in, so let's answer it. So thank you, Anish. Goalkeeper, Alisson, De Vrij, Pavard, Grimaldo, Rafinha, Adeyemi, Tielemans, Salah, Odegaard, Lautaro, Lewandowski, Coble, Gabriel, Schick, Garassi, thoughts? I like some of these picks for Matchday 12 only, like Schick and Grimaldo. Long term, they would be sells. I'm just wondering if you got the wildcard in your back pocket, because if you do, then I wouldn't mind keeping those two Bayer Leverkusen players. I wouldn't mind that at all. But Alisson's fine. I think De Vrij should be fine based on the recent reports. Yeah, Rafinha definitely keeps. Salah as well. Unfortunately, Lautaro would be sold, I think, based on all the reports. I don't think he's going to start. So selling Lautaro to Harry Kane, maybe Taremi as a one-week punt, or possibly go in a different direction, that is something to consider. But yeah, Lautaro is the one that stands out to me as a sell. But you did say Gabriel, Kobel, Garassi, and I thought that was Schick, but you've got Lautaro, Lewandowski, and Garassi. So I'm just wondering who Schick is, unless I'm bugging out myself. Yeah, because you can't have 4 forwards, of course. Yeah. So yeah, let me know about that. But yeah, just kind of curious who the second player is on your bench, or third player, should I say. But yeah, definitely sell Lautaro Martinez. And I'd suggest Harry Kane if you want someone long-term. I disagree, mate. Arsenal last season were very strong, and the year before that. I think this year, I know there's been some circumstances against them, but generally speaking, I don't think they're stronger than Atletico or Real Madrid. Dumfries place? Yeah. Andrés says, hola Dylan, tengo a Joseph Martínez de portero, pero es duda. Debería cambiarlo y recibir castigo de menos 4 puntos. Si no va a jugar, sería Sommer en su lugar, pero no creo que vale la pena tomar un menos 4 para un arquero. Así que si tienes Alisson o Szczesny, o quizás en tu caso tienes a Raya, alguien que juega el miércoles, para mí está bien. No merece un menos 4, en mi opinión. Do you think Miko Marino is a good option to transfer for Wirtz? He's okay. The same goes for Odegaard, who obviously stood out in Matchday 11, but Arsenal are hit or miss. They can batter a team like Man City 5-1, PSV 7-1 away from home, then they fail to score against West Ham at home. I mean, they're not consistent offensively, so it's a risk. And with Marino, there's a chance that he doesn't start because of the heavy win. I think Odegaard is a bit more nailed on for the second leg, I should probably say. Should I consider Elise, Musiala, Bellingham? They're all better long-term, for sure. If you don't have the wildcard in your back pocket, I'd highly suggest going for a long-term pick. And those 4 you mentioned, or those 3, and also Calhanoglu would be great options to replace Florian Wirtz. Out of all Arsenal players, 7-1 risk rotation, out in MDR, 13-14, Real and Atletico more strong. Not all of them, because they can still do well against PSV in the second leg, especially their defenders and goalkeeper. But yeah, I think trimming it down might be a sensible strategy. That's why I didn't go for many Arsenal players in the first place, not because I thought they'd win 7-1, but because I didn't like them long term. Nehal says, Wirtz to Elise, Gabriel to Inigo, and Flamingo to Dumfries. Yeah, I like those moves. Dumfries is 1 yellow card away from suspension. That's the only concern I have with him. The same goes for Inigo Martinez, though. I would suggest Koundé instead of Inigo Martinez. Wirtz to Elise looks fine. I like that transfer. Is it the best for Matchday 12? Maybe not, but long term I do like that Bayern Munich midfielder. But I would suggest Koundé instead of Inigo Martinez, and overall, those are some good transfers. Yeah, I just covered that, Ipo. So for me, there are 4 standouts to replace Florian Wirtz from my perspective, because some of them I've already got on my team. Calhanoglu, Bellingham, Odegaard, and Rodgers. Those are the 4 I'm looking at, and currently Calhanoglu is top, but nothing is locked in for me. Olmo or Lamine Yamal? I prefer Olmo for this match day only. Long term, Yamal is more secure in terms of minutes, so it also probably depends on your chip strategy. Do you have any chips available, particularly the wild card, which can bail you out? I'll probably use the wild card in match day 13 or 15, so the first leg of the quarterfinals or semi-finals. Maybe I decide to use in the second leg of future rounds as well, but I don't see myself using it now because there's a bit of rotation risk. There's also a few doubts about certain players starting. I'd rather avoid using the wild card just yet. Carlos Augusto, already have Dumfries. That's fine. He's not my favourite in terms of ball recoveries, but he's got the attacking potential. Once DeMarco is back, that could be a slight concern, and I think the Italian will return in 2 to 3 weeks. So for match days 13 and 14, I'm not too sure about Carlos Augusto. That's kind of just a one match day punt. What do you think about bringing in Kane for Guirassy? That's fine. I'm not too sure if it's an upgrade for this match day, though. I think Guirassy could outscore him, but long-term, that should work very well. 2 Inter and 1 Arsenal defender, or 3 Inter Milan defenders? I'd say 2 Inter and 1 Arsenal. I predict Liverpool 0, PSG 3. Have you seen Liverpool this season? I mean, they've sometimes been outplayed. They were in the first leg against PSG, but for them to lose 3-0 at home, that takes some doing. I hope you're right, but I don't think that'll happen. Trent or Hakimi? Trent. I think Liverpool are more likely to win. Jose says 1 transfer left, Kane to replace Mbappe or Koundé to replace Schlotterbeck. Koundé to replace Schlotterbeck. But there is a high ceiling, and also, how do I say this? There's probably a bigger variance in terms of whether you keep Mbappe or sell him. So you could lose out on a lot of points by selling Mbappe or gain a lot of points, because forwards will guarantee you or almost guarantee you a lot of points either way with a high ceiling. But I just think Koundé is an upgrade on Schlotterbeck, not just for match day 12, but also a largo plazo in the long term. I have my Limitless active. What's your suggestion in midfield outside Hakan, Bellingham and Salah? Maybe an Arsenal midfielder like Odegaard and possibly one of Musiala or Elise. Jorge says, tengo 1 o 2 cambios posibles para la defensa. Tengo a Grimaldo, Gabriel, Saliba, Schlotterbeck y Dumfries. ¿Crees que sería bueno cambiar a Grimaldo y Saliba por otros? No. Yo mantendría Grimaldo por ahora, porque es una buena opción para la jornada 12. Puedes venderlo en la jornada 13 para los cuartos de final. Es posible que Gabriel va a estar en el banco, así que yo vendería a uno de Gabriel o Saliba, y yo creo que Saliba va a jugar y Gabriel quizás no va a empezar el partido. Y en el caso de Schlotterbeck, no tienes que venderlo ahora mismo. Si tienes a Kobel como arquero, te entiendo, porque tener doble defensa de Borussia Dortmund no es muy bueno en este momento. Pero si no, creo que Schlotterbeck está bien y puede recuperar el balón como Gabriel, Saliba y todos los defensores que tienes vos. Así que es difícil, pero yo creo que Gabriel es el uno para vender. Is Joseph, I'm guessing that's Joseph Martinez, and Bastoni not starting? No. They probably won't. Thoughts on Odegaard, will he get good minutes? I think so. I can't guarantee it, but I think he will. Yeah, Jan Sommer will start, as covered multiple times, and thank you, Keith, for moderating the chat. Yeah, De Vrij is starting, as covered before. It looks like it anyway, according to Sky Sports Italia. I would sell Bastoni personally, because it looks like he won't start. Gabriel to Trent, that's fine. I think for this match day, there might be better defenders, even Grimaldo, but more importantly, you're looking at Koundé. I think Saliba, Inter Milan defenders like Dumfries, but Trent is a good option. My differential today, Calhanoglu captain. Good luck. I mean, I don't mind going differential as a captain for the Tuesday, because you've got another option to fall back on if needed. No creo que tienes que sacar a Rudiger. Para mí está bien. You think Raya will play? Yes, but I'm not fully convinced about it. Would you sell Guirassy to Kane? I think long-term it's a great move, so I don't mind it. It's just for this match day, I'm wondering, could you keep Guirassy for one more game and then sell him if Dortmund are knocked out, which is possible. But right now, I don't think it's absolutely necessary. Yeah, Hamal, I just covered that. Are you selling Schlotterbeck for a specific reason? To trim down my Dortmund defense. That is my plan. It's not locked in. One of Kobel or Schlotterbeck will be sold. I'm not saying I'll definitely sell Schlotterbeck, and if you watch my previous segments, you would have seen that right now, it's more likely I'll sell Kobel instead. Is today the last call to have Limitless? No, you can use Limitless in any match day from now on. The only times you can't use them is when you get unlimited transfers in match days 1, 9 and 11. So you can use it whenever, but my recommendation is to use it now. Best buy and defender, Upamecano. Zinchenko, nice punt. Yeah, I think Zinchenko starts. It's not an absolute guarantee because, remember, there's Tierney, Kiwior can play left back, and Zinchenko has played a lot of games in midfield recently, but yeah, I think that's a nice punt. He should start, I think. I can't guarantee it, but I think Zinchenko starts. Wirtz to Elise. Yeah, nice move. I believe PSG will qualify. Worth a punt. Yeah, look, that's good to see different opinions, and I wouldn't mind if PSG went through, but I'm backing Liverpool to go through. That's why I went for Alisson and Salah in the first place. I'm not going to buy another Liverpool player, I think. But going into the next round, I might go for 3 or 4 Liverpool players should they go through. There is not any news on Gabriel per se. It's just a lot of lineups I've seen don't have him in the lineup. Is Musiala the best Wirtz replacement? He's one of the best. I wouldn't say he's definitively the best. You've got Bellingham, Odegaard, Çalhanoğlu, and for me, the best ones are Rafinha and Salah, if you don't have them already. Marius says, sell Gabriel, Bensabani, or both. I'd possibly sell both, based on the lineups I've seen. Just to be very clear, I'm not saying Gabriel will definitely be benched. There's a possibility he plays, and I might regret selling him, but every lineup I've seen has Kiwior starting over Gabriel, and if that's the case where the Polish centre-back starts, it will be over Gabriel in my opinion, because he's left-footed, he'd play on the left-hand side, and Saliba would partner him. De Vrij will play apparently, that's been covered in this video. Is Gabriel playing? I don't think he starts, maybe I'm wrong. Keep Dembele? Depends on the rest of your team, but Dembele's fine. Some people here are backing PSG to win. Dembele had a decent game against Liverpool, but his finishing, not for the first time against them, was quite poor. I prefer other midfielders personally, but that's my opinion. Thank you, Napstars, for the super chat. Hi, Dylan, Raya and Sommer. Goalkeeper Gabriel, Bastoni, Grimaldo, Schlotterbeck, and Inigo Martinez. 1 free transfer, 0.7 million in the bank. Yeah, so between Gabriel and Bastoni, it looks like Gabriel is more likely to start. But based on all the lineups I've seen, I think both of them will be on the bench. I would prioritize selling Bastoni first, it seems, and I would go to an Inter Milan defender, perhaps, even though you've got Sommer in goal already. So Bastoni to Dumfries looks good, despite the yellow card risk, of course. Otherwise, you're looking at Koundé, but you've got Inigo Martinez already, so I don't think that's necessary. Maybe you want to go for a Liverpool defender, like Trent or Van Dijk. Once again, in the case of Van Dijk, 1 more yellow, and he does pick up a suspension. But I think in your case, Bastoni to Dumfries is the best thing to do. That would be my recommendation. Why Wirtz is injured? I don't know what you're saying, mate. I haven't made any transfers yet, so... What's the best Limitless team now? I'll do that fairly soon. I'll create a wildcard and Limitless team that's updated, but don't forget, in the wildcard video, I did provide an updated Limitless team. Yeah, Yusuf, no need to antagonize, mate. Okay, I'm not skipping any question. Hakan didn't start last match. Why is he an option? He started this weekend. He was injured in the last game. That's why he didn't start. And he is in every lineup, including Sky Sports Italia. Then Belly to Bellingham on Limitless. Yeah, decent move. I think that's a really good long-term pick. And for the Limitless, it also works as a one-week punt. Why sell Kobel? Because they're facing Lille and Dortmund drew the first game. They aren't in a great place right now. They lost 1-0 against Augsburg over the weekend. I don't want to double up on Dortmund defensively, so that's why I'm considering selling Kobel. I didn't say I'll definitely do it, but in an ideal world, one of Kobel or Schlotterbeck will be sold. Chan or Schlotterbeck? Schlotterbeck. Lautaro to Taremi or Thuram? I think Taremi might have the higher ceiling, but Thuram is probably the better player right now. I'd take a punt on Taremi. Yeah, Urbig, is he a good option? I think Leverkusen score here, but it just depends how long Neuer will be out for. It might be a few weeks, so maybe for the quarterfinals he's back. So Urbig is just a short-term punt, and on the Tuesday I think Sommer's better. I'd argue Alisson is also superior. So yeah, I probably wouldn't go there. Should I use Limitless? My recommendation is for people with the Limitless chip to use it now. It is also team dependent. You might be very happy with your team, so you don't need to play it now, but that's my recommendation. Yes, Sommer will play. Rodrigo or Guirassy? Guirassy. Bastoni to De Vrij or Bissek? De Vrij. Adeyemi to Martinelli or Odegaard? Odegaard. But I don't mind keeping Adeyemi, he's decent. Why sell Bensabani? I don't have him, so I'm not sure what your question is. Would you sell Martinez, the Inter goalkeeper, to Szczesny Sommer? Yes, he probably won't start, and I'd go to Sommer personally. Got other goalkeeper as Oblak, or would you sell Schlotterbeck, Grimaldo? I just go to Jan Sommer. Guirassy, Julian y Musiala, or Kane, Guirassy y Barcola? Guirassy, Julian y Musiala para mí. Watkins or Lautaro? Lautaro probably won't start, as covered multiple times, so it's going to be Watkins for me. 3 Inter defender or 2 Inter, 1 Arsenal? You have asked that before, mate. I I would go for 2 into 1 Barca. Elise or Bellingham for Wirtz? Difficult. I think for this match day, I might lean towards Elise, but it's close. You think Adeyemi, Trossard and Timber will be starters? Adeyemi, yes. I'm not sure about the Arsenal players you mentioned. Calhanoglu or Elise? Calhanoglu for this match day. Would you wildcard? I don't know your team first and foremost, and I think it's very important how much money you have in the bank, how many fines do you need to put out. Yeah, De Vrij will start. Hey Dylan, what happens if I use only 2 other free available transfers? Nothing. You can't roll transfers in the knockout stages, only during the league phase. Gabriel, Bastoni, Wirtz, De Koundé, or some other defender, Van Dijk, Elise. Yeah, good transfers overall. I think Koundé's fine, but you could also go for another Inter Milan defender like Dumfries, if you don't have them already. Watkins or David? I'd favour Watkins here, but not by much. And David is a suspension risk as well. Rodgers or Hakan? I'd favour Hakan right now. Should I change Jose Martinez for Alisson or Sommer? I already have De Vrij and Dumfries, or swap Flamingo for Koundé. I'd swap Martinez for Sommer. But yeah, Flamingo to Koundé is a good idea. I think that's a big upgrade, but Jose Martinez won't start. That's confirmed by the manager. Kane or David? Overall, it's Kane, but for this match day, it's very close. I think he might blank here, and Leverkusen win the game but go out. But yeah, overall, it's Kane. For those that don't have the wild card, I'd prioritise him. Odegaard or Hakan? It's going to be the same thing, Hakan, I think. Best Inter defender? Dumfries. Haribo says, hi Dylan, would you prefer Kim Min-jae or Koundé? That's a good question. For this match day, will be Koundé. And I also think Barcelona's route to the Champions League semi-final is easier, because they would face Lille or Dortmund in the next round, whilst Bayern Munich would face Inter Milan most likely. I would go for Koundé. Who you pick to replace Wirtz? Probably Calhanoglu. I can't guarantee anything because Bellingham, Odegaard, Rodgers are also on the shortlist. Martinelli or Musiala? Musiala. Mbappe and Gabriel or Julian and Saliba? Yeah, I don't think Gabriel starts, so it's probably Julian and Saliba. Best Arsenal mid? Probably Odegaard. If Arteta uses second squad against PSV, what are your predicted lineups? Well, based on your question, I mean, you said if Arteta uses a second squad, what would he go for? Well, Neto in goal then. Ben White right back because he's just coming back. I think he is normally first choice. Kivior, maybe Saliba next to him. Zinchenko left back. Jorginho. That's the thing. I still think Odegaard starts because Arsenal don't have that much depth in those positions. So I think Odegaard gets the nod there. I think Sterling will play in the winger positions. Maybe Martinelli gets 60, 70 minutes and then gets subbed off. But that's not a guarantee. Marino up front perhaps. The other player to complete the midfield might be Skelly, maybe. Or you could see Skelly left back and Zinchenko left centre mid. But Arsenal don't have that many options, mate. Is Barella not starting? It doesn't look like it. No. Bastoni for a -4. I'm not a big fan of taking hits for a defender. I mean, long-term, could it pay off? Yes, it can, but yeah, I think Dumfries might be the one with a high ceiling. That could pay off, maybe. Yamal or Olmo? Long-term is Yamal, but if I'm taking a punt this week, and in my scenario with the wildcard in my back pocket, I'd take a punt on Olmo and hope for the best. I think Taremi will start, yeah. Elise or Musiala? I prefer Elise, but not by much. Christian says Watkins, Bellingham, or Lewandowski, Tielemans. Yeah, as a duo, it would be Watkins and Bellingham. But I do like Lewandowski a lot, to be fair. Kim Min-jae or Upamecano? Upamecano. Well, in that case, maybe De Vrij. It looks like he's going to start. That's why I bought him in. He's the best Inter Milan defender when he does start. And he's good for ball recoveries. But on a week-to-week basis, he might not be the most secure. I think for the quarterfinals, for example, De Vrij might be benched. Which defence would you choose between Barca and Arsenal? I think Arsenal are more likely to keep a clean sheet, and they've got a better defence, but I also think Barcelona long-term are better, because I think they'll reach the semi-final, maybe even the final. I think Arsenal get knocked out in the quarterfinals. So, yeah, long-term it's going to be Barca. Olmo to Hakan for a -4 hit? No, I'd keep Olmo. Elise or Odegaard? Overall, it's Elise. Lautaro is not starting based on what I've seen. Julio Peña, good to see you. Hi Dylan, I'm leaning on transferring out Wirtz, Grimaldo and Schlotterbeck for Elise, Koundé and Upamecano. Thoughts? Any other recommendations? Those transfers would leave me with 2.1 million in the bank. Thanks. I would consider keeping Grimaldo. As I mentioned before, I think Bayern Munich might be very defensive in this game and maybe not focus too much on scoring goals like they did a couple of weeks ago in that goalless draw at Leverkusen Stadium. And I also think Leverkusen could win this game but go out anyway on aggregate. So I think Wirtz and Schlotterbeck out for Elise and Koundé looks really solid. But I'd actually keep Grimaldo and not buy Upamecano just yet. You can always do that in the next round using 5 free transfers. Alright, since I've been asked quite a lot, we might as well go into the transfer section and build a new wildcard and limitless team. So I'll start off with the limitless. And there's not many changes from what I talked about on, what was it? Yeah, yesterday. I did a triple upload yesterday. So let me bring that up and let's see if I can conjure something. Okay. So between the sticks, I will go for Sommer in goal on the Tuesday. No surprises there. On the Wednesday, I'd go for David Raya. There's a slight concern about him starting, I get it, but I still think he gets the nod. I think I'd go for De Vrij and Dumfries and go all in on Inter Milan. That's just a personal opinion of mine. And here, I'm going to go for Alexander-Arnold and Koundé. We're covering Arsenal defensively with David Raya anyway, but you might consider going for him instead. Yeah, Rafinha, Salah will stay here. Adeyemi's not a bad option, by the way. I wouldn't discount him, but I would go for something like this. Alanoglu, Bellingham, and possibly Odegaard. And then up front, Lewandowski, Mbappe, possibly Taremi or Harry Kane, but in this case, we've got 4 Inter Milan players already, so I'm going to go for Harry Kane. That is my updated Limitless team. There's a few things to maybe tweak. Maybe you back Atletico to go through, or for Alvarez to score a goal, maybe even a brace. In that case, you can go for him, Guirassy, Jonathan David, Watkins, Taremi. They're all solid choices. You know what? I'm actually considering this. This might sound woke, but Watkins in for Mbappe. Just a 1 week thing only. Yeah, I mean, I'm only 1.9 million off from building this exact team myself, but with the Limitless, you can obviously afford this. Yeah, that looks pretty decent. Let's also think about the Tuesday-Wednesday balance. We've got Sommer, De Vrij, Dumfries, Grimaldo, Koundé, Trent. So the entire backline plays on the Tuesday, but you have some Wednesday attackers to sub on for them. So that includes, yeah, Odegaard, Bellingham, Watkins. Not too shabby, but there is obviously a very big Tuesday bias here, which is maybe a bad thing. You could argue 1 or 2 more Wednesday players might be needed. So I completely get that. Yeah. If you are concerned about that sort of thing, you could sell one of these defenders, so Grimaldo, Koundé, or Alexander-Arnold. I would consider just getting Saliba in this case, and that helps you a little bit if you're maybe not infused about that sort of Tuesday-Wednesday structure. But yeah, I do like the look of this team. It looks fairly decent. Yeah, Watkins or Mbappe, I think, would be the final forward. That is up to you to decide. The midfield I'm quite set on. That looks very strong on paper. Adeyemi's another shout on the Wednesday. And then defensively, I think Trent could easily come in for one of Saliba, Koundé, or Grimaldo. So that is something for you to decide. I'll stick with Trent, personally, and go for more of a balanced team. The only defence I'm kind of tripling up on, of course, is Inter Milan. The rest is just 1 each, but you can double up on Arsenal if you wish. For the wild card, if we get rid of some of these players, yeah, wild card, this will be a long-term team as well, so bear that in mind. I think I'd still go for Sommer on the Tuesday, but I'm considering Szczesny as well. But now I'm going to go for Szczesny, playing on the Tuesday. Yeah, let's see. On the Wednesday, I'll be honest, I'm not a big fan, because with Kobel, he's a decent goalkeeper in UCL Fantasy, but Dortmund could be knocked out. And in Matchday 12, I don't really anticipate a clean sheet. With David Raya, good chance of a clean sheet this week, but then I think Arsenal go out in the quarter-final stage. Aston Villa, I wouldn't recommend going for any of their defenders, especially with Liverpool or PSG on the horizon in the quarterfinals. I'll go for Raya for now, but I'm not a huge fan. In this case, I'd definitely not go for an Arsenal defender. I just go for Raya. That's enough. I'd get rid of Grimaldo, and I would favour Bayern Munich long term. So Upamecano. I'd go for a Liverpool option like Trent. I think Van Dijk is slightly better overall, but because of the suspension risk, and we've already got Dumfries, who is 1 yellow card away from that suspension, I think going for Trent makes a little bit more sense. And I'd also go for Jules Koundé. I'm not too sure about here. I don't like the double up defensively. Maybe Rudiger. I'll go for Rudiger here. Rafinha, Elise, yeah, looks decent. Adeyemi, I don't mind, but we're going to go for Hakan Çalhanoğlu. And the other one will be, yeah, I think Bellingham. And then up front, we can go for Kane. And if you're struggling for funds, maybe Mbappe downgraded. That could work. But let's see. I think we can still find a way to fit Mbappe in if you really want to go there. That might actually include one of Raya or Upamecano being sold. And look, some of you might think that Atletico go through. So going for free Madrid players is probably too risky anyway. I get that. So yeah, the third player here for the wild card, thinking long term as well. I mean, for me, it would be Mbappe, I think, if I'm looking beyond Matchday 12, but it's a very expensive forward line. And remember, on the wild card, you can still pick some short-term punts, like Ollie Watkins, for example. So you can go for Watkins, and then you can sell him in Matchday 13. I would not have him long-term. So that's kind of one of the only one-week punts I suggest. The rest offers you a very decent structure in the long term, in my opinion. And you've got 2.2 million in the bank, so there's a lot of money there to play around with. That's a rough sort of updated wildcard team. It's not set in stone. I'm more confident in the Limitless squad I pretty much produced on the cuff here. Captaincy options, pretty much the same as always. I think Rafinha is my favourite on the Tuesday. Lewandowski's up there. You can go for differentials like Çalhanoğlu. And on the Wednesday, yeah, I think for those that have Mbappe, you can go for him. I think Watkins is a nice shout. Yeah, I think one of Watkins or Mbappe would be my Wednesday captain there. So let's now go back to my UCL Fantasy team. Feel free to pause and stuff like that. Maybe I'll go back to it at some stage, but we also want to keep things fresh. The lineup should be out very soon. No, Pieter says they're out now, so we'll go through that. Yeah, Jose, I don't think Wanyeri starts. I haven't seen any predicted lineup that has him in there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is go through the Barcelona-Benfica lineups, and then I'll show you the other tidbits of information that I provided early in this stream. So for Barcelona, Szczesny is in goal, no surprises. Balde, Araujo, Inigo Martinez, Pedri, Lewandowski, Rafinha, Yamal, Olmo, De Jong, and Koundé. So pretty much what you'd expect. And I did say this in yesterday's video that Inigo Martinez and Araujo was the expected centre-back partnership with Pau Cubarsí suspended. For Benfica, we've got Trubin, Antonio Silva, Arsunis, Kokcu, Pavlidis, Aktoglu, Scheiderdrop, I'm not even going to pronounce that again, Roldo, I'll call him, Otamendi, Thomas Araujo, and Florentino Luis. That is a big return there for Benfica. That will help them defensively. So on the bench, Iñaki Peña for Barcelona, Kochen, Gavi, Ferran Torres, Fati, Torre, Fermin Lopez, Casado, Pau Victor, Eric Garcia, Fort, and Gerard Martin. For Sporting, Samuel Suarez, Amdouni, Cabral, Barrero, Belotti, Prestiani, Nuno Felix, Gonzalo Oliveira, Leandro Santos, Bajrami, Rego, and Renato Sanchez. The suspended players include Cubarsi and Carreras for both teams, respectively. So that's covered, as you were with Barcelona Benfica. So, one more time, this is the squad for Barcelona, which is irrelevant now. I'll close that. Emi Martinez, Asensio, and Onana are all in the Villa squad to face Club Brugge. Ross Barkley is the only player who remains out. This is the Inter Milan lineup from yesterday, but as you see on the right-hand side, there is a late change. There is a late change. And that is De Vrij is now expected to start over Acerbi. So the lineup for Inter Milan would be Sommer in goal, Pavard, De Vrij, Bisek, Dumfries, Fratesi, Kalinoglu, Mkhitaryan, Carlos Augusto, Thuram, and Taremi. So for Arsenal, everybody who finished the game against Man United is still available, so no real changes there. And his quotes towards the end suggested that Arsenal could start Ben White in Matchday 12. Tchouaméni and Camavinga will start versus Atletico, according to, I think that's Jose Luis Sanchez. Yes. And as for Raul Asensio, he will also start in the Madrid derby. I did cover all the possible lineups earlier. I went over them whilst reading out the players who are out, doubtful, and suspension risks, so feel free to go through that yourself. I'll put a link now in the live chat. Drop a like to this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single upload or live stream for both FPL and UCL Fantasy. So I'm going to put these links here for you. The same goes for the Inter Milan one, which I think has been very highly requested, to say the least. So yeah, that link should work now. Okay, I'm going to have another look myself on the internet and see if there is any news we've gotten today. Let's see, maybe we've got a few updates, things that have changed the landscape of UCL Fantasy. Okay, yeah, I've just saw an Mbappe update. Let me see if I can get that up on screen. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised, or not surprised, I wouldn't be concerned about him starting. But yeah, this is the update from today. According to The Athletic, Mbappe is training inside the facilities. He is expected to join the training later. So I wouldn't really look too much into it. He should start in the Madrid derby. I would be shocked if he didn't. But yeah, that's something that's just come out now. Everything else has basically been addressed across all my videos over the weekend and also earlier in this deadline stream. Let's go back to my squad for now. And in a short while, I'll start locking in transfers. I'd urge you to do the same thing. Try to get things ready 50 minutes before the deadline and just have everything locked in. But yeah, this is the best time to make transfers after the early lineups, and we do get a lot of information from Tuesday press conferences and from training sessions like we just did now. So we got over 1,000 people watching, which is kind of the norm in UCL Fantasy, but let's get the likes up to 300 plus. That'd be greatly appreciated, at least to kick things off, and maybe we can push towards 400 as well. And a massive shout out to the super chatters. If there are any super chats I haven't read out, they will be in the next few moments, so don't worry about that. Yeah, for some reason there's a few that I've missed. YouTube can be very annoying. So Nehal, I hope you're still in the chat. Actually, I read this one, didn't I? It's just, it didn't say I liked it, but I think I read this one. So Verts to Elise, Gabriel Inigo, Flamingo Dumfries. Yeah, my suggestion was to go for Koundé instead of Inigo Martinez. The player is Schlotterbeck. Oh, fair enough. Yeah, I get that, Anish. So your other question was this. With Kobel, Gabriel, Schlotterbeck, Garassi. Okay, so that helps a lot. What I'll do in your situation is sell one of Kobel or Schlotterbeck. And if you were to sell Kobel, it would be David Raya for me. And to replace Schlotterbeck, you could go for... I mean, I would say Denzel Dumfries, but you've got 2 Inter Milan defenders already, so you don't need to go for a third, in my opinion. Maybe Koundé. Yeah, Koundé in for Schlotterbeck, if not Raya for Kobel. I know Tielemans has a good fixture, but maybe you could upgrade him. That's kind of a nitpick, but I think the most important thing for you is to replace Lautaro Martinez, as mentioned earlier. So yeah, Harry Kane long-term is the best replacement for him. Short term, you could go to Remy, but yeah, if you have no wildcard, I think Harry Kane is the best one to go for. Marius puts a super chat as well. If I can get that up, that'd be great. My chat is freezing a little bit. Sell Gabriel, Ben Sabani, both. I'd probably sell Gabriel, yeah. I could be wrong about this. I'm probably going to sell him myself, and I could see it being a regret of mine if he starts, but all of the lineups I've seen don't have Gabriel in there. So I'd definitely sell him. Ben Sabani's an interesting one. I'm going to check Dortmund's predicted lineup one more time and see if he's in it. I don't think he is, but I'll have a look. So Dortmund, he is in it. Yeah, so UEFA.com have gone for Kobel, Ryerson, Emre Can, Schlotterbeck, Ben Sabani, Gross, Sabitzer, Adeyemi, Brandt, Gittins, Garassi. With Svensson out with a knee injury for the next couple of weeks, that opens up the door for Ben Sabani to start. So yeah, I'd keep him, I think, or at least prioritize selling Gabriel, who is more of a rotation risk, it looks like, for Matchday 12. So yeah, that's covered. Napstars says, hi Dylan. Yeah, I covered that as well, didn't I? So yeah, my advice was to sell Bastoni, first and foremost. You've only got one free transfer now, which is not ideal. But yeah, one of Bastoni or Gabriel to go. And my advice is to sell Bastoni, because at least with Gabriel, there's still a chance he does start. Based on Sky Sports Italia and their expected lineup, it doesn't look like Bastoni will get the nod. Aaron PM says, sell Grimaldo, Dembele or Adeyemi. Thanks and good luck. Likewise to you. I'd keep Grimaldo this week. I actually like him quite a lot for Matchday 12. That's why he featured in my Best Limitless Team video and the updated versions in today's stream and in the Wildcard podcast. Out of those three, it might be unpopular, but I'd sell Dembele. He has been excellent this year. He's got 20 goals in 2025, more than any other player. He played well against Liverpool as well, but he can be wasteful. Yeah, from those three, I'd actually sell Dembele. That might be ridiculous to say, I get it, but I definitely keep Grimaldo, that's for sure. And I think Adeyemi's a decent punt, which he showed in the first leg. And if you look at his returns all season, he's actually been a very decent UCL Fantasy asset. I'm glad to have bought him in for the round of 16. Should I sell Bastoni for Carlos Augusto? For this match day, yes, but my problem with that is long-term, DeMarco should be back fairly soon. So I'm not too sure about that. Roberto, you're probably Italian. Maybe you are. The thing is, from what I've seen in UCL Fantasy through all my deadline streams this season, when Sky Sports Italia put an Inter Milan lineup, they are always spot on with it. And when there are late changes, like today, for example, De Vrij in for Acerbi, they always update that before the deadline too. So I don't know. From my experience, they seem quite reliable with Inter Milan. Yeah, Antonio, I'll probably cover that one more time later, but essentially Lautaro Martinez and who else? Acerbi and Bastoni will be benched. Sommer will start in goal. But yeah, that's been covered quite a few times. Hakimi for De Vrij. I wouldn't sell De Vrij. It looks like he's going to start now, and I don't like Hakimi this week. Garassi, Watkins or Thuram? I prefer Watkins for this week. Hola Dylan, tengo a Chan y a Bastoni. ¿A quién quitarías y a quién meter en su lugar? Gracias. Yo quitaría a Bastoni, porque parece que no va a jugar. Por lo menos con Emre Can va a empezar el partido. Así que Bastoni por Dumfries está muy bien. Si no, tienes Koundé. Upamecano está bien a largo plazo. Depende de tu estrategia. Si tienes el wildcard, el comodín. Pero mi favorito para reemplazar a Bastoni sería Dumfries. De Vrij, Van Dijk or Trent? De Vrij this week. If I keep transfers, does it save him for the next game? No. That only happens in the group stages, not in the knockouts. Thank you, John. Very kind of you. Please like for this man who's an encyclopedia of football and answering question after question. Far from it, but I do appreciate the kind words and it's always good to see you. Julio Pena says, is it a good idea to bring in De Vrij for Bastoni? Short term, yes. A bit like Carlos Augusto, who was mentioned earlier. And over the course of the season, De Vrij has started every Champions League game bar one. I think that could change for the quarterfinals though. But I do like De Vrij a lot for the round of 16. I don't really see a reason to wildcard Ahmed. I'm actually struggling to find free transfers to make. I mean, if I was wildcarding now, yeah, I'd bring in Upamecano for Grimaldo, but that could lead to a deficit of points in matchday 12. I could just make that transfer in the next round because I actually think Leverkusen could win this game. Then you've got replacing Wirtz. I can do that with my normal transfers anyway. My front three I'm quite happy with. I was quite keen on buying Lautaro Martinez, but with him being benched, it seems, I'm quite happy to keep Guirassy, Mbappe and Lewandowski. So yeah, I mean, really my main issues are 4 Dortmund players. So trimming that down to 2, I can achieve with free transfers. A wildcard is far from necessary in my opinion. Hi Dylan, best Gabriel replacements. Dumfries, even if you've got an Inter Milan defender already, I think having a second is fine. Just for context, it looks like Bissek, Dumfries, Carlos Augusto, and De Vrij will start. Koundé, Saliba, or any Bayern defender. Saliba looks good for this week, but not long term. The only reason I'm looking at buying him myself is because, well, 1, I'm an Arsenal fan, and 2, I think Arsenal have a great chance of keeping a clean sheet this week, and then 3, I've got the wildcard in my back pocket, which means I can focus specifically on this match day, and for the quarterfinals, yeah, I think Arsenal will lose to either Atletico or Real Madrid, and by that stage, I don't need to worry about it because I've got the wildcard. So from what you're saying, I think Koundé's the best one to buy now, long term. Rafinha or Lewandowski captain, you can see on screen, I'm going for Rafinha right now. Peter says, hola Dylan, ¿piensas que Odegaard será mejor elección que Guirassy hoy? No creo que sería mejor. Guirassy tiene 10 goles en la Champions, Odegaard tiene 2, creo. Así que hay una diferencia bastante grave entre ambos. Yo sé que Odegaard es un mediocampista y también puede anotar asistencias, pero yo creo que Guirassy es una mejor opción, generalmente. Y sí, no creo que tienes que empezar Odegaard en vez de Guirassy, porque acordate, lo que quieres hacer es poner tus jugadores del martes en tu alineación y después puedes sustituir los que no hacen muy bien, que tienen 1 o 2 puntos, y poner jugadores del miércoles que no han jugado todavía y puedes poner Guirassy y Odegaard en tu equipo. Así que no es muy importante. Merino or Odegaard? Probably Odegaard. Best Wirtz replacement, keep Guirassy or sell? Yeah, look, the best Wirtz replacement is undoubtedly Salah and Rafinha, and I think the Brazilian is top. Beyond those 2 who are template, I would be looking at Calhanoglu, Bellingham, Odegaard, and Rodgers. Those are my top 4 replacements from my team and setup, since I've got Adeyemi, Salah, Rafinha, and Elise already. I also don't mind Musiala. I don't mind that. But would I suggest a double up in Bayern Munich midfield? Not necessarily. So there's a lot of different factors that play a part. I don't know who you have already, so it makes it difficult. Good to see you. RD Núñez. ¿Hasta cuándo estaría el wildcard si lo uso hoy? Solo para hoy. Así que, mira, las transferencias del comodín son permanentes, pero el comodín solo dura una jornada. Así que después de 1 hora, cuando empieza el partido de Barcelona-Benfica, no puedes hacer cambios sin límites. Así que ojalá que haya respondido bien a tu pregunta, pero así funciona el comodín. Hola Dylan, ¿crees que tener 4 del Barça es buena idea? Lewandowski, Rafinha, Koundé y Szczesny. A largo plazo creo que sí. Como dije antes en inglés, yo creo que Barcelona va a llegar a la semifinal y quizás llegan hasta Múnich para la final también. Lewandowski y Rafinha para mí son muy buenas opciones. Para la defensa creo que 1 es suficiente. Yo sé que tienes a Szczesny, pero tener a él y Koundé efectivamente es una doble defensa de Barcelona. Y yo creo que Benfica puede anotar un gol. Yo fui por un 3-1 para Barcelona. Así que 3 para mí es el sweet spot, como decimos en inglés. Pero 4 está bien a largo plazo, te digo la verdad. Rodgers or Arsenal mid, except Odegaard, don't have money for him. Probably, yeah, Rodgers for me. Yeah, James just covered. Wirtz to Musiala, Rodgers, and Grimaldo to Upamecano, Kim, Koundé. I would go for Musiala, long-term, and Koundé. Yeah, I just covered that as well. It doesn't seem to be a big issue. He should join up very soon. Already have Elise, by the way. Oh, okay, that could change things, to be fair. I do like Musiala, though, but I think I'd go for Rodgers here then. And I would go for Koundé. Yeah, I don't think Bastoni starts. Calhanoglu or Bellingham? I'm leaning towards Calhanoglu for now, but I do like Bellingham still, and I can see myself buying him for the first leg of the quarterfinals. So if I don't buy him now, he probably will be a transfer in for matchday 13 anyway. Is Gabriel sell or keep him for quarterfinals? I'd probably sell him, but that's just my opinion. He might start the game, and if he does, I'd regret selling him, but we don't know for sure. Best Vets replacement? Yeah, as covered multiple times already, apart from Rafinha and Salah, who are the standouts, I'd be looking at Calhanoglu, Bellingham, one of Musiala or Elise, Rodgers and Odegaard, probably in that order. It also depends on other factors, but yeah, those are my favourite replacements. I'm looking at Calhanoglu or Bellingham in the top spot. Yeah, Gabriel is a risk. Yep. Top 5 best Wednesday defenders, please. I'm going to struggle. I would probably say Saliba, Schlotterbeck, Zinchenko, Rudiger. I think Alexandra from Lille, especially for those backing a Lille victory or for them to go through. So those are my favourite options, I think. Yeah, I think Zinchenko starts. That's not a guarantee. With Ben White, he'll probably play 60, 65 minutes, something like that, so I probably wouldn't risk it with him. And he's not the best for ball recovery. He's a quality player. But in UCL Fantasy, I think the Gabriels and Salibas are significantly better there. I don't think Timber starts. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's my top 5. I think Saliba will be top, assuming he starts. I don't think Gabriel does, as mentioned before. Which Barca defender to buy, and who's the best 8 million midfielder other than Adeyemi? Jules Koundé, and best 8 million midfielder, probably Elise for me, long term. Yeah, I did show my predictions earlier. I'm not hiding anything, but I'll go through them one more time soon. Don't worry. De Vrij or Pavard long term if I have Dumfries. That's close because both of them are slight rotation risk. But the reason why I bought De Vrij in the first place is because he has started every single Champions League game bar one. I think that could change for the quarterfinals though. And even for today, it's kind of touch and go. You know, yesterday in some lineups he wasn't in there. And now all of a sudden it looks like he will start. But he's not secure long term. So I might argue Pavard is better for what you're asking for. Yeah, I'd sell Bastoni. Elias says, ¿cuáles son los cambios que debería hacer para esta semana? No sé tu equipo, así que no puedo responder a eso. En mi caso, yo estoy pensando en vender uno de Kobel o Schlotterbeck. Florian Wirtz seguramente lo voy a sacar de mi equipo. Y después es difícil decidir en el otro cambio, pero sí, yo creo que Gabriel es otro para vender. No creo que va a empezar mañana. Yeah, my transfers were covered earlier, or my plans anyway, and nothing's locked in just yet. Martinelli fit to start? Yes, he is fit to start, but I'm not sure if he does. Is Wanyeri in any predicted lineups? No, not from what I've seen. Thank you, Keith, for moderating the chat as always. Thank you very much. Raya is a slight rotation risk. I think he starts. I'm more confident in him than Gabriel, for example. But let's say, for example, tomorrow, Neto's in the lineup. I would not be surprised. I think it's 70% likely Raya starts. With Gabriel, I'm kind of like 40% now. Should I do Pavardis to Alvarez? Possibly. Yeah, that's not a bad transfer. I'm less keen on Pavardis now. Let's put it that way. Gabriel to Saliba or a second Madrid defender? Saliba. Captain Kane, Salah or Rafinha? Rafinha for me. I think Kane's at the bottom of the list despite scoring the most points in matchday 11 from the free. I think he might blank in this one. Es cierto que Gabriel no jugará. Es posible, no te puedo garantizar, pero yo creo que no va a jugar mañana y sería Kivior con Saliba. Guirassy or Kane for the long term? Harry Kane. Sí, Aníbal, no va a jugar Bastoni, según Sky Sports Italia, que son bastante confiables con Inter Milan. What's going on with De Vrij and Lautaro? Well, there is a change of De Vrij, as mentioned before. De Vrij is going to start apparently. Lautaro Martinez will be benched. Christian says, amigo, Trent o Koundé? Koundé. Es difícil porque quizás tienes a Szczesny y en ese caso prefiero variar tu defensa y ir por Trent Alexander-Arnold. Thoughts on De Vrij? Sorry, Vinicius to Lewandowski to fund Barcola to Salah for a -4? It's rare that I say yes to a -4 here, but that looks pretty decent actually. Why did you sell Bastoni? I've never had Bastoni, mate. I don't know what you're on about. Imagine we discuss if we sell Gabriel, suddenly Arteta keeps all the first 11 the first leg. It's possible. That's why I said in Spanish and English, I can't guarantee either way if Gabriel starts or not. I don't think he does based on all the lineups I've seen from Arsenal fans and sources, publications that indicate he won't start. But I think the Times, for example, or was it Standard? I think it might have been the Standard. They put Saliba on the bench and Gabriel in the lineup. I can't tell you for sure, unfortunately. I wish I had that information. Yeah, I think Zinchenko starts. ¿Qué opinas entre Trent y Koundé? Sí, recién lo respondí a eso. Best defender this match day? I think Dumfries will be up there. Dumfries, De Vrij, Saliba if he starts. Yeah, they'd be right up there. So let's go for some different screens since I'm getting obviously some similar questions, so we might as well touch on that again. Before I go to some different piece of information one more time, I'm going to go to the transfer section and show you an updated Limitless team. So what I've gone with is Sommer and Raya between the sticks. Nothing has changed there. I've gone for De Vrij, who is now expected to start according to Sky Sports Italia. Dumfries, Grimaldo, Koundé and Trent. If you're not happy with the Tuesday-Wednesday balance, you can go for Saliba, for example, or Schlotterbeck instead of Trent Alexander-Arnold. Maybe you're backing a Lille clean sheet and you want to go for Alexandro in that defensive line, but I like this sort of balance there, with only Inter Milan being loaded up on. Rafinha, Çalhanoğlu, Bellingham, Salah and Odegaard forms the midfield, with Kane, Watkins and Lewandowski. You might not be too keen on Watkins, I get it. You can still go for Mbappe, Alvarez, Vinicius Jr., Guirassy, Jonathan David. The list goes on, but I'd probably go for Watkins alongside Kane and Lewandowski. That is definitely debatable though, but once again, I like this sort of balance. Kane might blank this week to be fair, and long term he's a great pick. For the wildcard, I definitely recommend him. On the Limitless, I'm less keen on him, but he showed what he could do in the first leg, and he's got 75 goals in 80 matches for Bayern Munich since joining them last summer. For the wildcard, I'm less convinced, but this is close to what I'd go for. Szczesny and Raya as the goalkeepers, De Vrij, Dumfries, Upamecano, Trent and Rudiger, with Rafinha, Elise, Çalhanoğlu, Salah and Bellingham, and then Kane, Watkins and Lewandowski. So essentially I've got 2 one-week punts here in De Vrij and Watkins. I think they could be sellable for matchday 13. Even David Raya could be another one to sell, but that's the sort of wildcard squad I'd probably go to now. Once again, it's not fully locked in, and I definitely encourage you to check out my best wildcard team video to see my justifications and analysis on every single one of those teams and players. So next up is going to be my UCL Fantasy League. If you haven't joined it already, I'd highly encourage you to do so. The code is cCaFxb. There is a link in the description below, which makes it very easy to join. And Predict 6, which I was asked about a few times. Oh, what the hell happened there? Oh, it's logged me out. Okay, that is great. I'm going to have to put a different screen for a little while because I don't want people stealing my password and stuff. So these are my social media platforms whilst I do this. And of course that question was answered as well. So hopefully I can log in, so to speak. Apparently I'm not logged in. Thank you, UCL Fantasy. Okay, it's all sorted now. Let's go back. I've gone for Barcelona 3, Benfica 1, with the Catalans to score first. Inter Milan 2, Feyenoord 0. Liverpool 2, PSG 1. Arsenal 2, PSV 0. I hope they can reach double digits in terms of aggregate score, but maybe that's being greedy. Atletico Madrid 1, Real Madrid 1. And Aston Villa 2, Club Brugge 1. So, this is the highly requested lineup. I've been asked dozens of times about De Vrij, Lautaro Martinez, and should I keep Bastoni, should I sell him? Well, according to Sky Sports Italia, and if you see my previous UCL Fantasy streams, you'll know how reliable they have been with Inter Milan. They have gone for Sommer in goal, Pavard, and a late change apparently of De Vrij in for a Serbi. Bissek completes that defensive line with Dumfries and Carlos Augusto as the wing-backs, Fratesi, Çalhanoğlu and Mkhitaryan in the midfield, Thuram and Taremi up front. So that means no Bastoni, no Lautaro Martinez, and no Acerbi, and the same goes for Barella as well, and Joseph Martinez will be on the bench. Jan Sommer reclaims that number 1 spot. So as mentioned before, with Arsenal no new injuries, which is good to see for once, Ben White could start. He is apparently in a good position to start from the get-go, according to Arteta. Tchouaméni and Camavinga will start versus Atletico. The same goes for Raul Asensio. And that is pretty much all the updates from today. Everything else was covered in my team selection video yesterday. It was a very extensive injury list section, and hopefully that has helped you in one way, shape, or form. And for those that maybe aren't aware, this is the lineups one more time for Barcelona, Benfica. These are officially confirmed. So Szczesny in goal for the Catalans, Koundé, Araujo, Inigo Martinez, and Balde, De Jong and Pedri, with Olmo, Yamal, Lewandowski, and Rafinha. Whilst the Portuguese side have gone for Trubin, they've gone for Dal, Otamendi, Antonio Silva, Thomas Araujo, Kokchu, Florentino Luis, which is a massive boost to them, Arsunis, also to, I'm not going to even bother, Pavlidis and Aktoglu. So there you go. The other Madrid news we got just now is about Mbappe doing individual training, it seems, in the facilities, but he is expected to join full team training later. So I'm not too concerned about this, but maybe some of you are. I get it. I'll be honest, I don't share that sentiment. So back to my team for now, and once again, in a little while, I'll lock in my squad. Thank you, Richard. Great stream, mate, as always. Thanks for all your help so far. Which is best, Kobel or Schlotterbeck out this week? In isolation, I think Schlotterbeck is better because of ball recoveries. But then there's a question of who can you replace these players with? And the problem I have, and why I could sell Schlotterbeck in the end, is because you've got more alternatives for defenders. Whilst with goalkeepers, let me name the best ones for Matchday 12 and beyond. Sommer, Alisson, Szczesny. What do they have in common? They all play on the Tuesday, so that will cause a clash if you've got one of them in your squad already. That's my concern with it. And the best Wednesday goalkeeper is David Raya, but there's a slight risk that he doesn't start. And if Arsenal go through, they'll probably face Real Madrid or Atletico. So, yeah, it doesn't look good for them long term. So that's why, in terms of the best one to sell and get like a high ceiling from your transfer, it might be selling Schlotterbeck. But from those two individually, I'd argue that he has a higher ceiling because of ball recoveries. That's where the main issue comes in. All right, Extra HD, calm down. This is my team right now. I haven't made any transfers. ¿Es posible que Mbappé no juegue? Hay una posibilidad bastante chica. Para mí va a jugar. Me sorprendería si no está en la alineación. Elise or Odegaard and why? Elise, long term, I think Bayern Munich have a good chance of reaching the semi-finals. I don't share that sentiment with Arsenal. Is Lewandowski, Rafinha and Yamal too much Barca? For this match day, it's fine. And even against the likes of Lille or Dortmund in the next round, it would be as well. I'm not a huge fan of Yamal in UCL Fantasy. I think his goal scoring has also been quite poor this season. But he's always got that assist threat. He's a brilliant player on his day. And the potential is obviously frightening. But yeah, Rafinha Lewandowski is great. I think having that third option in Olmo or Yamal is a luxury and the icing on the cake. Should I use wildcard today? I don't know your team, so I can't answer that question. Best Lautaro replacement, I have Guirassy and Lewandowski. Already used my chips. For this match day only, I'd say Ollie Watkins. It's between him and Taremi. Long term, Harry Kane is the sensible one. So it depends on your strategy, on which chips you have available. If you need someone long term, go for Harry Kane. Rodgers or Yamal? Rodgers. David and Dembele versus Kane and Wanyeri. I don't think Wanyeri starts, so it would be Dembele and David. A defender for tomorrow besides Schlotterbeck? Saliba. I have both Gabriel and De Vrij. What's your advice? De Vrij is apparently going to start. I just covered that. Gabriel, every lineup I've seen doesn't have the Brazilian in there, so maybe I'd sell him to avoid that risk. It could backfire. I get it, but he's the one to sell for me. Bellingham, Hakan, Rodgers, Odegaard, pick two. Bellingham and Hakan. Paredes says, no UCL video content to watch before this match day? I've posted a lot, mate. I did 2 uploads yesterday and 1 on Friday. So, as usual, I've done all of the content. Do subs matter in quarterfinals or are games on at the same time? No, there will be different days. The Champions League final is when that doesn't matter. You've only got a starting 11, no substitution window, and it's all about your starting 11, and that's it. Also, captain Dumfries or Grimaldo? Dumfries. Also remove Guirassy or Wanyeri? I'd remove Wanyeri because I don't think he starts. I haven't seen him in any lineup. It could be wrong. Maybe that could backfire as well. Yeah, I'm not sure what you're getting at, Paredes. I'm sorry, I literally just said it. I've made videos. I don't know what more you want me to say. Limitless team, yeah, I'll go for that one more time, but I can't guarantee I'm going to do it one more because I've kind of repeated myself a lot. This is my updated Limitless team, and I did upload in my wildcard video yesterday, there wasn't also an updated Limitless squad as well. Elise or Rogers. For this match day, it would be Rogers. Long-term, Elise. It just depends on your strategy. Are you transferring Gabriel out? It's possible. Hola Dylan, opciones para Gabriel y Bastoni. Dumfries, Saliba. Upamecano, me gusta para el largo plazo. Summer is not out, mate. He's starting. ¿Qué harás con Verts y De Vrij? De Vrij will stay. Así que en español. Voy a vender a Verts por Calhanoglu, Bellingham, Odegaard o Rogers. Y De Vrij va a empezar aparentemente, según Sky Sports Italia. Así que va a estar en mi equipo. Should I switch Verts to Bellingham? Yeah, that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Elise Bellingham. Maybe Elise is not really... It's not clear-cut. Very, very close. Jakob says, I have 7.6 million for a midfielder. Pick one out of Hakan, Marino, Barcola, Hakan. Or would you recommend anyone else? No buying though, as I have Kane. Yeah, Calhanoglu's fine. Should I switch Verts to Bellingham? I just covered that. Is it the right time to use Limitless? I think so, but it's team dependent. Does Upamecano start? Yes, he's their best centre-back right now. What about Araujo? I prefer Koundé, but he's fine. I'm set on doing 2 transfers, can't figure out who to do the third on. Shame it doesn't go on to the next match day. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm also struggling to make 3 transfers, but I'll probably still do it and unnecessarily change my team. Yes, Hasib, as mentioned for the 10th time, De Vrij will play. Yeah. Should I sell Dembele for Bellingham? I probably would, because I don't think PSG go through, and Dembele, it can't be relied upon in the big moments against the best teams, in my opinion. Hopefully he proves me wrong tomorrow, or today. Best striker, already have Lewandowski, y el amigo Watkins. Harry Kane long term. Where can we check the order of home and away for the quarterfinals? In the Champions League website, they have the dates set, I think, and also when the Champions League draw was made, they did announce, you know, which team will be first, home first. For example, Arsenal would be home in matchday 13 if they go through. Elise out for Calhanoglu? Not sure about that. Shall I switch Adeyemi with Bellingham? I actually like Adeyemi. I think Dortmund might be knocked out, but he could still get a return like he did last match day. So I'm not entirely sure about that transfer. De Vrij is fit, yes. Otherwise, he wouldn't be in these lineups that I mentioned. Captain Rafinha or Lewandowski? Up to you, mate. I'm going for Rafinha. So Schlotterbeck, Martinez and Asensio to De Vrij, Sommer and Calhanoglu. Going all in on Inter. Looks good for this match day. Even for the next round, I think Inter could go through against Bayern Munich or Bayer Leverkusen, but one step at a time, of course. Trent or Koundé for Bastoni, already have Szczesny. I'd go for Trent. Is it worth taking a -4 hit for Trent and Koundé? I'm trying to get rid of Michelli and Bastoni. I'm not a massive fan of a hit, but I'd probably do it. Because Bastoni will likely not start. And yeah, I think Trent and Koundé are decent choices. You could just stick with one free transfer and buy Koundé, but that's debatable. Dembele for Hakan? I probably would do it. Hakan or Rogers? Slight preference for Hakan. He is a defensive sort of player, you could say. He plays very deep, but he's on penalties. Upamecano or De Vrij Pavard? For this match day, it will definitely be De Vrij. Pavard's fine as well, by the way. Either one is absolutely sound, but I think Leverkusen score against Bayern Munich. Captain Kane or Lewandowski? Lewandowski. Gracias, amigo. Sos la cabra del fantasy. Thank you very much, DR. Very kind words. Muy amable. Hey, Dylan, Captain Rafinha or Lewandowski? Yeah. Hey, man, can you tell me what changes should I make? Yeah, Jose Martinez won't start. I'd sell him. There are a lot of lineups that don't have Gabriel in there. I'd possibly sell him as well. The same goes for Bastoni. I hate to say it to you. And Lautaro Martinez, also not in the lineup. So those are the ones you want to focus on selling. I'd sell 3 of them. So Jose Martinez to Sommer. Bastoni to Dumfries. And Lautaro Martinez to Lewandowski. I was going to say Harry Kane, but I think Lewandowski would be even better. There's your team sorted, I think. Got Bastoni, Dumfries, Gabriel, Schlotterbeck, Grimaldo. What to do? Keep Dumfries, Schlotterbeck and Grimaldo and sell Bastoni and Gabriel if possible. Trent or Koundé for Bastoni. Already have Szczesny. Yeah, Tommy Raw. I did answer that, mate. I would go for Koundé. Is Gabriel starting? I don't think he will. Hakan or Yamal? Hakan. I'm probably going to save it for later in the competition. I always kind of bookmark matchday 13 and 15. Because if you wildcard in the second leg, it can be slightly awkward because then going into the next round, you could have a lot of eliminated players if you get things wrong. But look, there's different ways to kind of argue for it. I think ultimately with the wildcard, I'd probably use it for sure before matchday 17 for the Champions League final. You can still use it now, but I'd argue matchday 13, 14, 15, and 16 are all better times to use the wildcard than it would be now. Wildcard, yeah, sorry, I did that. Inzaghi roulette gives me headache. Yeah, but thankfully we do get fairly reliable predicted lineups beforehand, which helps a lot. Is Bastoni an Inter strongest 11 for future game weeks? Definitely. He's one of the best centre backs in Europe. Want to use wildcard and Limitless after this round, mate? Difficult one. Maybe in this case you Limitless in matchday 13 or 14 and wildcard 15. I think Raya starts, but it's not a guarantee. Bellingham or Adeyemi? Because of the long-term factor, I'd go for Bellingham. Sell Guirassy or Dembele? I'd sell Dembele first. Thuram or Kane? For this week, Thuram might edge it, but overall Harry Kane's the better option. If you don't have the wild card, just go for Kane. Haven't seen anywhere that Calhanoglu starts tonight, does he? Well, I'm not going to say much. I'm just going to put the lineup here again. But yeah, according to Sky Sports Italia, they're very reliable. They've put Calhanoglu in there. With Zielinski out for the next couple of weeks, it also means his like-for-like in that position, which is Calhanoglu, has an even better chance of starting again. And De Vrij will also start, apparently, over Acerbi. But yeah, it's up to you. I mean, there's a lot of different sources out there. Some might contradict each other. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't have like a reliable Arsenal predicted lineup to show you. All I can really provide is UEFA.com's version of events, which could be wrong. But yeah, we'll avoid this since the lineups are out already and they've been covered. So yeah, let's refresh this and see if they've changed anything. So for Inter Milan, I think UEFA.com still have Acerbi starting over De Vrij, but they do have Calhanoglu in there. So that's two lineups that have Calhanoglu. Feyenoord, they have a lot of injury problems, which also includes Igor Paxao, who was their best UCL Fantasy option. For Leverkusen, Bayern Munich, UEFA.com have gone for Kovar, Arthur, Tar, Hermoso, Hincapié, Xhaka, Palacios, Adli, Grimaldo, Frimpong, Teller. And for Bayern Munich, you've got Urbik replacing the injured Neuer, Lima, Upamecano, Kim Min-jae, Davis, Kimmich, Goretzka, Elise, Musiala, Koeman, and Kane. For Liverpool PSG, they've gone for Alisson, Trent, Konate, Van Dijk, Robertson, Gravenberch, McAllister, Salah, Elliott, Diaz, and Nunez. But I also saw one from a Liverpool page putting Gakpo in there, and another one had Diogo Jota instead of Nunez. For PSG, though, I think all of them are in agreement that it will be Donnarumma, Hakimi, Marquinhos, William Pacho, Nuno Mendes, João Neves, Vitinha, Fabian Ruiz, Kvaratskhelia, Dembele, and Barcola. As for the players who are out, doubtful, and suspension risks, they were all covered earlier in this video. The same goes for my team selection video yesterday. For tomorrow's matches, Lille-Dortmund, they've gone for Chevalier, Meunier, Diakate, Alexandro, Gudmundsson, Andre, Buadi, Haraldsson, Mukaku, Mbappe, and David. And for Dortmund, they've gone for Kobel, Ryerson, Chan, Schlotterbeck, Bensabani, Gross, Sabitzer, Adeyemi, Brandt, Gittins, Guirassy. For Arsenal PSV, they've gone for Raya, White, Saliba, Kivior, Sinchenko, Odegaard, Jorginho, Rice, Sterling, Marino, and Trossard. Whilst for the Dutch side, they've gone for Benitez, Ledesma, Flamingo, Boscagli, Maro Jr., Schutten, Till, Saibari, Perisic, De Jong, and Lang. Aston Villa Club Brugge, Martinez, Desassi, Konsa, Mings, Dean, Kamara, Tielemans, Bailey, Rogers, Rashford, and Watkins. And for Club Brugge, Mignolet, Sabi, Ordonez, Micheli, De Kuyper, Onyedika, Jashari, Talbi, Talbi, Vanaken, Zolis, and Jukla. And finally, for the Madrid derby, Oblak, Lorente, Jimenez, Lenglet, Galan, Simeone, De Paul, Barrios, Lino, Griezmann, and Alvarez. And for the reigning champions, Courtois, Valverde, Rudiger, Raul Asensio, Mendy, Modric, Tchouaméni, Bellingham, Rodrigo, and Mbappe, and of course Vinicius. But I did mention a source earlier, I think it was Jose Luis Sanchez. He reports that Camavinga will start with Tchouaméni. That indicates that Modric will drop to the bench. So that is a lot of coverage, of course. Hopefully you aren't overloaded with information. And just for one last time, we did get the early lineups, of course, for the kickoff between Barcelona and Benfica. And we've only got 29 minutes until that game commences and the matchday 12 deadline locks in. Like this video, let's get this up to 300 plus if we haven't done so already, and push on towards new goals like 33k subscribers, which is the next big target we have. Follow me on X, Instagram, Blue Sky. Check out the Discord server, UCL Fantasy League, and Spotify as well. But I'm going to go back to my team for a little bit longer, and for some reason it's basically bugged out. So yeah, UCL Fantasy webpage has been a bit iffy today. Let's put it that way. Hopefully that is good. Yeah. And yeah, you got the Arsenal predicted lineup that you wanted. It's only one though. There could be a few inaccuracies in there. So yeah, Raul, as covered in most of my videos, be sure to check out my How to Play UCL Fantasy Guide and the Chip Strategy video. You get 5 free transfers for the first leg of each round, and you get free transfers for the second leg. It's the same pattern every season from the round of 16 and beyond. Best Arsenal defender besides Saliba? As a 1 week punt, Zinchenko perhaps, but my favourite Arsenal defenders overall are Gabriel and Saliba, and Gabriel could be benched here. Best captaincy option are Rafinha, Musiala and Salah. Rafinha for me. Switch Lewandowski for Lautaro? No, Lautaro is going to be benched apparently. That makes no sense for me. The lineups for Barcelona Benfica are out, yeah. Best time for Limitless? It's team dependent, James, and you have asked this before. I would probably do it now if I still had it. That's something I've said in all my videos as well. So, let's go to the transfer section. Hopefully UCL Fantasy hasn't bugged out with the pages. Okay, they're still here. This is my updated Limitless team for those that aren't aware. Feel free to choose a few things or change a few things like Mbappe, Alvarez, or another striker for Ollie Watkins. And yeah, in that defensive line, you could go for Saliba instead of Trent, or just add some more Wednesday players. That could be Adeyemi, Guirassy, perhaps even Rodgers. So feel free to change a few things to your liking, but if I had the Limitless, I'd go to something like this. It looks very strong, in my opinion. And for the wildcard, quite similar, but that's kind of what I've gone for. 2.2 million in the bank. Watkins is just a 1 matchday punt. Long term, I'd go to Kylian Mbappe if Real Madrid go through, but that would mean a downgrade elsewhere. So perhaps in this case, maybe no Bellingham. Maybe we could go to a third Barcelona midfielder, which is also a bit of a punt, you could say. But yeah, there are different things to do to get to the sort of team you want to get to. But yeah, I'm actually thinking about this now. Yeah, maybe even Trent could make way. Yeah, Trent to Konate, just for the value, if you want Mbappe still. 0.9 million left in the bank, and that's where we could tweak just one more player, I think, and we can achieve this sort of team. I think in this case, maybe Rudiger out. Then 5 million. So if we go to a 5 million defender. Yeah, I think we can find someone. Yeah, it does get a bit tricky, I'm not going to lie, if you really want to fit Mbappe in from the get-go. Yeah, Chesney Raya I think is fairly reasonable. Maybe Raya to Kobel, but not a big fan of that long term. I mean, ultimately both of them will probably be knocked out by the quarterfinal stage anyway. But yeah, that's just something to think about. Of course, value is very important. If I was wildcarding now, I'd have maybe 1 or 2 punts with 5 transfers available for the next round. And yeah, I think I'd stick with Alexander-Arnold, and Ollie Watkins I think is fine, just for this match day only. And Villa have a great chance of progressing anyway, whilst with Madrid Atletico, it does hang in the balance. I am backing Real Madrid to go through though. So my transfer plans, I'm looking at something like this. Florian Wirtz out for one of Çalhanoğlu, Bellingham, Odegaard, Rodgers. Those are the likely replacements. I am favouring Çalhanoğlu right now. He's on penalties. He won player of the match over the weekend in his return. Scored a goal. And Feyenoord are decimated by injuries. I think long-term Bellingham might be the safest pick, to be fair. Then it comes down to one of Schlotterbeck or Kobel being sold. And I think Gabriel to Saliba, it's not really something I thought about doing going into the round of 16, but it might be a necessary transfer. Just to have that Arsenal defensive coverage as well. Or I could do something like this. I go to Koundé, and then I do Kobel to David Raya. So those are my current transfer plans. I'm going to put a few polls out since I have answered hundreds of questions already. Of course, some of them have been pretty much delved into in a lot of detail. So yeah, let's put some polls out and get this going. Let me know, by the way, if things are going well. YouTube is giving me an error message, which is not something you want to see, but maybe it's all fine. So let me know in the live chat, and let's get this stream to 400 likes. We are close to 300, so let's be sure to get to that in the next couple of moments. And thank you to those that have supported the channel already. Okay, we've got a few more super chats to go through. I'm going to do that first, and then I'll go through my polls and transfers. Who will start for Inter? Is it Sommer? Yeah, it's going to be Sommer in goal. Jose Martinez will be on the bench. This was confirmed by Inzaghi himself, and Sky Sports Italia have basically doubled down on that, and they have gone for Sommer as well. Rodgers or Çalhanoğlu? Both of them are on my shortlist to replace the injured Florian Wirtz. I'm currently favouring Çalhanoğlu. For the reasons I just mentioned, he's on penalties. He's facing a depleted Feyenoord side without their best attacking player in Igor Paxao. And Çalhanoğlu played very well on Saturday. He scored, won player of the match, and sparked that comeback for Inter Milan from 2-0 down, winning 3-2 to remain top of Serie A. But it's close. I think Rodgers is decent. I definitely don't mind having a Villa attacker. And he's shown a lot of great form, Rodgers. Hat-trick in Matchday 8 against Celtic. He also got the 9-pointer against Club Brugge last time out. Mbappe failed last training. I'll have a look. I've seen a lot of people mention Mbappe and stuff like that. Maybe there's something more to it. Yeah, let's see if there's something there. Well, Madrid Extra, who relay all the information from different sources, they haven't said anything. If you've got a link to that Mbappe news, let me know, and we can go through it together, and everyone can see the latest updates about him. But I don't think Mbappe will be benched tomorrow. I still think he starts, if I'm being completely honest. I haven't seen anything on Twitter that suggests Mbappe will miss out. So if you know something else, let me know. So yeah, let's put this poll out. We'll start off with the Florian Wirtz replacements. Which of these midfielders would you buy to replace Wirtz? So let's put the options in here. Odegaard, Çalhanoğlu, Rodgers and Bellingham. Yeah, those are the four. Fuad says, why not Martinelli? Did you see him play against Man United? I mean, he just came off the back of an injury over a month, but he was terrible. And even if he does start, I don't think he gets the full 90. I think Odegaard is more likely to get significantly more minutes. That's just the way I see it. Yeah, just give me a second. My technology is bugging out. Hopefully it does sort itself out very soon. But yeah, let me know if there was any problems in YouTube in terms of the visuals or the audio. I'd appreciate that feedback because, yeah, it gave me an error message around 10 minutes ago. So yeah, in terms of this poll, Çalhanoğlu is top right now, 36%. Odegaard is second, but it's close between him and Rodgers, and Bellingham is just behind that. Interesting stuff for sure. All right, people mentioning Yamal, Olmo, that's fair enough. Jonathan David, 2 goals. I think he can score. I don't think he gets a brace, but we'll see. Marino's a good option. He's okay. I'm not going to say he's suddenly amazing because of the goal and assist last time out. He's not a striker, so expect inconsistency. Double clean sheet Barca or triple clean sheet Inter? Triple Inter. Can you do a poll for Lautaro Martinez replacements? I'll do that shortly. You think Guirassy should be kept after blanking? I think he's the new Palmer. Well, to be fair, Palmer's got no goals in 9 games, with Guirassy has 2 matches. So, thank you, Martin, for the feedback. Still going for Grimaldo? Yeah. I don't think he's a sell. I've already explained my reasons for that. Yeah, exactly that. But that also goes one of 2 ways. He's out of position, but he's not a striker. So he's not going to be consistent up front. I also think Arsenal won't score that many goals this time round. Guirassy or David? I think for this match day, I probably favour David, I can't lie. Should I transfer out Van Dijk? Probably not. The only concern with him is the yellow card thing. One more yellow and he does get suspended. Hello Dylan, who would you pick for Gabriel replacements? From those three, my favourite is De Vrij for this match day, but I think long-term Koundé is probably the best bet. Barcelona have a better route to the final and the semi-final compared to Inter Milan. But yeah, I don't mind doubling up on Inter Milan defensively, for sure. Lautaro will be benched, apparently. That's all I can say. Yeah, Koundé's a good long-term pick. Ball recovery machine. Not as good as last season, maybe, but he showed signs of going back to that in Matchday 11. He's my favourite Barca defender. Yeah, I don't think Arsenal are elite at attacking, that's for sure. They were better last season. They needed more attackers and another midfielder. So hopefully they address that in the summer, but it's too late anyway. Kivior, good option at centre-back. For this match day, yes, assuming he starts, which I think he will, but nothing is a guarantee here. Adeyemi or Hakan? Hakan. I think Gabriel will be benched. That's what all the lineups suggest. Yes, Sommer will start. My captain will likely be Rafinha. Deck funciona. Gracias. Mbappe, Vinicius, Rodrigo, or Aktoglu, Watkins. I don't know why people always say Icardi. Is that like a typo or something? I wouldn't go all out in terms of... Wait, Mbappe, Vinicius, and Rodrigo? Surely not. I think one is enough, maybe even two, but three is overkill. Need a striker, have Lewandowski and Guirassy. Long-term Harry Kane. For those that want a one-week punt, my advice is Ollie Watkins. I just don't like him against Liverpool or PSG in the next round, particularly Liverpool. Thoughts on Asensio? He's okay. I just think long-term he won't be a starter for Real Madrid. Rudiger's my favourite defender, and Courtois is the best way to cover them defensively overall. Hey Dylan, who would you pick for Jose Martinez replacement? Sommer. Keep it simple. Then Dembele and Taremi or Odegaard and Guirassy? Odegaard and Guirassy. So, Calhanoglu is winning quite notably, you could say. He's got a decent distance to second with 37% of the votes. Since we've got a few more polls to get through, I'm going to end that one. And the next one is going to be the best Lautaro replacements. So I'm going to put, let's see, so not Guirassy and Lewandowski. They will be exempt from this list. I'm going to put Kane, Taremi. Oh, let's put Watkins in there. Watkins. Maybe I'll put Taremi as a one-week punt, maybe. Jonathan David. Let's see. Mbappe. Should I put Mbappe in there? Yeah, Mbappe, Watkins, Kane, David. That's a fairly decent set of forwards, I think. But I'm trying to think. Maybe Vinicius. You also got... Yeah, I wouldn't go for anyone from PSV or Arsenal. Yeah, I think that's fairly decent. Alvarez, yeah. Alvarez is a good one. I'll put Alvarez instead of David, who's probably going to be very underrated, I'd say. I think Jonathan David's a nice one. So, yeah. You know what? Forget Mbappe. Forget him. Let's put Jonathan David. Come on, let's give a differential bit of love. It's possible, Goldhead. It's one of him or Schlotterbeck making way, I think. Lautaro Martinez will probably be benchmate. That's why. I think PSG will win at Anfield today. What do you think? I hope you're right, but I think Liverpool will win. Dylan, Mbappe or Vinicius? Probably Mbappe, but this season Vinicius has been slightly better in the Champions League. In recent months, though, I think across all competitions, Mbappe has shown more consistency. I have Vinicius and Pavlidis, have Rafinha as a Barcelona attacker. I still would go for Lewandowski, Twisted Parky. If you don't have him already, he's my top recommendation. Dumfries or Koundé to replace Hakimi? Dumfries. Replacing Grimaldo or Hakimi? I'd keep Grimaldo for now, sell him in matchday 13, where I think Leverkusen are out, and sell Hakimi now. That's my advice, but it's up to you how you want to play it. I think Odegaard will play. He's in all of the lineups I've seen as well. Garassi Kane, Harry Kane. I don't think Gabriel starts. Ronak says, who to captain? Both excellent. I think I'm going to go for Rafinha. If I were to go for Lewandowski, it's just to go a bit different, and maybe because it's his time to shine. But I think it's absolutely fine to go for a sort of differential captain on Tuesday. Then on the Wednesday, you've got some decent options there. Bastoni replacement poll? Maybe. Maybe. I'll try to fit that in before the deadline. Yeah, Martinez, unfortunately, will probably be benched. It looks like Taremi and Thuram will start up front. That was covered, by the way, in my team selection video yesterday, so it was made clear. I did make a lot of injury updates, and today we got another one with De Vrij, who wasn't going to start. Now it looks like he is, so things change very quickly, of course, in UCL Fantasy. So Kane is the top replacement, no surprises there. I think Lewandowski's even better for Matchday 12, just for those that are in the market for a striker. He's my #1 pick. For this week only, I think Watkins is a nice punt. Taremi as well. Long term, though, I think Kane is just probably a set and forget option until Bayern are eliminated or reach the final. So I'm going to end this poll as well. And now I'm going to do maybe one or two more polls. But it's a nice way to engage in the chat, to make your feelings known, and to see what the community thinks overall. It could help you with some of your decisions. So this is what I think it will come down to for me. So these are some of my final transfer plans. So let's put this in here. So it would be Schlotterbeck and so yeah, Calhanoglu in, or a midfielder. That's what I'm looking at. Yeah, Schlotterbeck and Gabriel. To let's see if I can get that up. Okay. Let's get this on the road. Schlotterbeck and Gabriel to Koundé and Saliba. Oh, I hate the character limit. Koundé and Saliba. Schlotter. I'm just going to have to call him Schlotter. So Schlotter and Gabriel to Koundé and Saliba. And the other one will be Kobel. Kobel and Gabriel to Raya and... Yeah, I think Koundé's fine. But that's pretty much what it comes down to, I think. It's kind of similar, to be fair. Yeah. Interesting, okay. I think that's pretty much right. I need to double check that. So Schlotterbeck and Gabriel to Koundé and Saliba, or Kobel and Gabriel to Raya and Koundé. It's not really much in it. But yeah. Let's just answer the super chat that I saw. And let's not forget that. So, best captaincy options for the first window this game week. Yeah, so the standouts for me on Tuesday include Rafinha, Lewandowski, Mohamed Salah. I also think Kane is still decent, to be fair. But I'd probably put him down below those options today. I think Leverkusen could win this game. It wouldn't surprise me if they kept a clean sheet, but ultimately they will probably go out with that 3-0 deficit. But yeah, it's a good question. I don't mind an Inter Milan defender or player to captain. Like Taremi as a punt, really left field, could work well. Dumfries at the back, Calhanoglu. Even an Olmo or Rafinha, or I said Rafinha, obviously he's template, but Olmo or Yamal, they're decent. But I think for me, Rafinha, Lewandowski are my favourites. Then it's followed by Salah. And afterwards, I'll be looking at Inter Milan assets. That'd be my sort of rankings. Yeah. I think that would be it. Rafinha first, I think. Lewandowski second. That's very close. Salah third. Dumfries fourth. and maybe Taremi 5th. I think one of the forwards for Inter Milan could have a very decent return. That's the way I'm looking at it right now. I don't think Gabriel plays, Felix. I hope that's... I wish we got like an update just now before the deadline saying he's going to play and I can keep him. Why get in Rye? Don't see the point. To basically trim down my Dortmund defense. That's basically it. It's not great for the long term, but all I'm really focused on is what's right in front of me. I've got the wild card in my back pocket. Everyone's situation is different, of course. Diego Salas says, won't Arsenal rotate? They will rotate a little bit. Like I just said, Gabriel could be on the bench, but we don't know for sure who's going to be starting and who's going to be benched. It's just educated guesses. Most lineups have Saliba starting and Gabriel not there. Yet De Vrij should play, as covered before. I would not take any Arsenal players too much of a rotation risk. I think that's fair. I get that. Yeah, going from Gabriel to Saliba could backfire massively, but my counter-argument to that is I still think Arsenal have a decent chance of a clean sheet. They are second in the clean sheet odds after all. So by not having any of them at all, that could be, I don't know, slightly frustrating. Let's put it that way. But I do like getting Koundé in. I'm fairly happy with that. Yeah, it's a close one this week. I just think Raya is better than Kobel, assuming that Raya starts. And yeah, this looks pretty decent overall. I'm not going to lie. I'm quite set on this. The poll is also slightly leaning towards the same. Raya and Koundé in for Kobel and Gabriel, whilst keeping Schlotterbeck. Para mí, Joao va a empezar Harry Kane. Siempre hay dudas cuando un equipo gana 3-0 o 7-1, pero yo creo que Harry Kane va a empezar el partido. If I can't afford Koundé, which Barca defender should I buy? Inigo Martinez is fine. Maybe you go for Balde. I'll be honest though, I think it's probably Inigo Martinez despite the suspension risk. I've read Gabriel starts and Saliba benched. Yeah, that's the problem with me making that sort of move. So in order to avoid that sort of scenario, maybe I go for Koundé instead and get Raya to cover that Arsenal defence. Hey Dylan, why Raya not Courtois? Because he plays on the same day as Alisson. Actually, no, that's not even true. He plays tomorrow. Hold on. It's because, to be honest, I think if I'm really looking at it, I don't think Madrid keep a clean sheet against Atletico, to be quite honest with you. And I'll be honest, my favourite goalkeepers to buy are all on the Tuesday. Szczesny, Alisson, who I've already got. You've also got Sommer, who for me is the best one this week. But yeah, it's a good point you make. I'm just not too sure about buying Courtois. And I also want to cover Arsenal defensively still, despite possible rotation. The only downside is, do I buy the wrong player? Is Raya going to be benched? It's possible, to be fair. So yeah, thank you to everyone who has been supporting the channel. Let's get this up to 400 likes. We are close to the deadline. Lock in your squads, make your transfers, set up your bench. Make sure that the Tuesday players are all in your starting 11 and captain a Tuesday player. My top recommendations, as I just mentioned, are Rafinha, Lewandowski and Salah. If you want to go a bit left field and go against the template, I think a Dumfries, Kalanoglu or Taremi could be very solid shouts there. But yeah, on the Wednesday, I'd be looking to the likes of Alvarez, Mbappe and Watkins as captaincy options there. Even Martin Odegaard if he starts, which I think he will. But yeah, that is what I'm kind of stuck on right now. I'm going to see if I can find an Arsenal predicted lineup just before we wrap things up. Maybe a more reliable source. So this is another one I haven't read before. Posted 1 hour ago. So they've gone for Raya in goal, White, Saliba, Kivior, Skelly, Jorginho, Marino, Wanyeri, Sterling, Trossard, Martinelli. Yeah, a few changes there. So no Odegaard for one. They put Wanyeri in midfield. But yeah, I think with Arsenal, it's probably worth avoiding, their attacking assets for sure. And with Gabriel, it's a headache. So the standard, which was mentioned by some viewers in this live chat, they went for... Let's see if I can find it. Okay, where is their actual predicted lineup? Oh no, they haven't. No, that's clickbait title, so they sold me a dream there. Okay, here, London Evening Standard. Let's see, there should be a predicted lineup here. So yeah, they've gone for Raya, White, Kivior, Gabriel. So they've gone for Saliba on the bench. Tierney, Odegaard, Jorginho, Zinchenko, Martinelli, Trossard, Sterling. Yeah, so different reports. Most of them, the vast majority have put Gabriel on the bench and Saliba starting. I'll probably avoid that transfer. Oh, great. Yeah, my bloody laptop is freezing, or computer, because I'm controlling it remotely, basically. So I'm gonna have to make the moves through the app now. Otherwise, I'm gonna not make the deadline. Bloody technology. Okay, I think I've sorted it. Alright, so yeah. Lock in your teams, like I said. Get everything in order. Most of your questions have been answered, pretty much all of them. But I think I'm going to go for Raya, Koundé, and Çalhanoğlu to replace Kobel, Gabriel, and I think, yeah, Florian Wirtz, of course, has to make way with the injury. That is what I'm looking at. Yeah. I think that makes a lot of sense. So I've got that ready. Wildcard's still in my back pocket. Yeah, that looks fairly decent. Fairly decent. So let's see what you lot are saying. Sterling punt. I have my wildcard. All the best, mate. I really hope it works for you, but he has been an absolute disaster. I think he started off okay, but yeah. Into defense, please. I've already got Dumfries and De Vrij, mate. Those are the ones I'd suggest. Yeah, De Vrij will start, apparently. I speak Spanish at home. My English is still far better, but yeah, I speak at home. Marino or Bellingham? Bellingham. Which inter-defense starting is covered multiple times in the stream, mate. Bissek, De Vrij apparently will start. The same goes for Pavard, Dumfries, and Carlos Augusto. That's the back five. No, Bastoni won't start, according to Sky Sports Italia. He's also one yellow card away from suspension. So yeah, hopefully no one is copying, but it is what it is. Hakan is a trap. Inter don't have to win. Well, I'm selling a player who's I'm selling a player who's injured, and unfortunately with the alternatives, I mean, Bellingham, Rodgers, Odegaard, they're all good, but there's not any standouts, I think, for Matchday 12. Maybe one of them ends up doing really well, but yeah, I'm quite happy with this, to be fair. And it's an inter-attacker, something I've lacked all season, basically. Yeah, if he doesn't do well, I've got the Wednesday players to come in and replace him anyway. But yeah, I think Çalhanoğlu is the one I'm going to end up buying. I am considering Rodgers, to be fair. I have considered him all week, but I'll probably stick with what I said in my deadline stream. Well, yeah, in this video and also yesterday in the team selection. Time does fly. Gabriel, man, if he starts and scores a bullet header, I might be fuming, even as an Arsenal fan. But that is the situation I've been put in. I'm going to make the transfers. So let's put Koundé in the starting 11. I don't want to leave it to the last second. I know we've literally got less than a minute now as I speak. So yeah, I'm going to remove a 12th of March player. It could be any of them. It's going to be Guirassy for now. So I've got almost a full house of Dortmund on my bench. I've got triple up there still. In Guirassy, Schlotterbeck, and Adeyemi. Yeah, Rafinha captain, I think, is fairly sound. So as you can see in my starting 11, I've got Alisson, Koundé, De Vrij, Dumfries, Grimaldo, Rafinha, Elise, Çalhanoğlu, Salah, Lewandowski. They all play on the Tuesday. And I've got Mbappe there as well. Raya, Guirassy, Schlotterbeck, and Adeyemi are my other Wednesday players. This is not really a big deal. I mean, it doesn't matter. I was going to swap him and Adeyemi on the bench. It really doesn't matter. So yeah, we're locked in. Rafinha is my captain. And there we go. Another deadline is chalked off. Like the video. Let's get this to 400. It'd be very much appreciated. And yeah, everything you need to know for UCL Fantasy has been covered in extensive detail across all my videos and also in this deadline stream today. And keep your eyes peeled for FPL. There's going to be a best free hit team for Blank Gimmick 29, a best wildcard squad if you want to see it, a team selection video, and another deadline stream, and that will be on the Saturday. So yeah, that is all done. That's how my team was like before. Wirtz has got 2 points apparently, even though he is red flag, but that's just from last week. So yeah, this I have to close anyway. I showed the best wildcard and limitless squads in detail. That's all done now. So we'll see how it goes. But ignore the points, that's all glitched. It's basically just Rafinha, Lewandowski and Koundé featuring for me right now. I've gone almost all in on Barcelona. Let's refresh the page, maybe that will help. with this. I hope this hasn't bugged out and hasn't gone through. But yeah. Yeah, my transfers have gone through. But yeah, the website's been a bit finicky today. Normally it's a bit better than this. Maybe a lot of traffic, I don't know. But yeah, it's still loading. In the meantime, what I'm going to do is show you the different screens again. The UCL Fantasy League, you can see cCaFxb. There is an auto-join link to make it very easy to join. My Predict 6, I've gone for Barcelona 3, Benfica 1, Inter Milan 2, Feyenoord 0, Liverpool 2, PSG 1, Arsenal 2, PSV 0, Atletico Madrid 1, Real Madrid 1, and Aston Villa 2, Club Brugge 1. Even towards the end of the deadline stream, I got so many questions about Inter Milan, who's going to start. According to Sky Sports Italia, it will be Jan Sommer in goal, Pavard, De Vrij, and Bissek. And the reason why that is because in this post, there was an update saying De Vrij is now predicted to start ahead of Acerbi. Dumfries, Vertesi, Kalanoglu, Mkhitaryan, Carlos Augusto, Thuram, and Taremi. That is Inter's supposed lineup. They have been accurate all season. Hopefully, they don't let us down now. And then, yeah, Asensio will start versus Atletico. The same goes for Camavinga and Tchouameni, according to reports. And yeah, there were some things about Mbappe doing individual training and stuff like that, but he should be fine. I'm not too concerned about that. Let's actually see if Madrid have said anything here. No, I mean, yeah, it looks like it's all good. So, that's it. Benfica Barcelona, of course, the game has kicked off, and the lineups were also covered in this video. The same goes for other probable lineups for Leverkusen Bayern Munich, for Liverpool PSG, and all the possible lineups according to UEFA.com with suspension updates, injuries, and stuff like that. So, you know, the full coverage for UCL Fantasy was here on this channel. But let's now go back to my team. Hopefully it has... No, it's not. It's not refreshed still. I'm not sure what's happening there. Is it my internet? Is it UCL Fantasy? Who knows at this point, but that's very weird. I'll leave it on my Predict 6 for now, I think, whilst it fixes itself out. Yeah, good luck as well, Juniper. Always good to see you. I've got 69 points already. Yeah, I think the website's glitched, to be fair. Only made 2 transfers. Yeah, if you don't need to make the third one, I completely get it, but I'm always tempted to use all of them. Good luck, everyone. Likewise, Diego. Salah to Musiala. Barcola, Kvaratskhelia, or no? I would have gone for Musiala. I mean, well, no. No, sorry. Selling Salah, not for me. He hasn't been great in the Champions League this season, but I wouldn't sell him. Good luck as well, Ryan and MMK. Anyone gone for Omo? I like that, to be fair. That is one of my favourite punts for the Tuesday. Transfers don't roll, Lewis. Only in the group stages. That's been covered in my How to Play UCL Fantasy video, the Chip Strategy Guide. Why Rafinha before Lewandowski for captain? I did it last week and Rafinha got 9 points, Lewandowski got 2. He's a midfielder, extra point for scoring a goal and for getting a clean sheet. More assist threat. Lewandowski's also been quite wasteful despite his great goal scoring record this season. What match day using a wildcard? It's not locked in, but probably match day 13 or 15. Thank you, Paradis. That's massively appreciated. I didn't see that, but yeah, sometimes YouTube can be a bit funny. Yeah, thank you for that. Let's see who actually got the membership, but that's very much appreciated, Paradis. Very kind of you. Let's see who got it. Yeah, it was Zodiac. Okay, that's why. So yeah, enjoy the membership, Zodiac, and big up to Paredes, the legend. Yellow bench, says Abdella. Yeah, I'm not sure what's happening right now. I gambled on Gabriel starting. Hopefully he does. Yeah, if he does, I'm not going to lie, I'll be slightly pissed. Because I think a big return could be coming there. A goal, ball recoveries, etc. Salah to Musiala, Barcola, yeah, covered that. So yeah, all of these have been addressed. Let's go to the new questions. Once my browser also doesn't act up. It seems like all of this has been finicky today. I almost couldn't make my transfers using my laptop because of it. But thankfully we were able to do everything. So yeah, 60 points already. Yeah, people reporting the points glitch there. Good luck, Napstars. Yeah, 5 transfers next week, Arthur. It's 5 free transfers for the first leg of each round. and free transfers for the second leg. It's the same pattern all season now. Number 4 in the world on Twitter, if you want to see, has got some major differentials. Well, that's good. He's kind of going all out for it. I bought in Lewandowski, Hakan, and Raya, but kept Gabriel rather than taking a -4. Yeah, I don't think it's worth a hit. And Gabriel could still start. Like, I've said it all stream. Gabriel could start, but based on the predicted lineups I've seen, Kiwior is in it. And if that's the case, I think Gabriel does drop out, but nothing's set in stone. I like that. Lewandowski's a good shout. Great Champions League record. Maybe he'll score before the deadline is closed, and I will regret not captaining him. Mine's doing the same. I've got 64 points already. Nice one. Thanks for the help, Dylan. Good luck, mate. Likewise to you, Jakob. Taremi punt, says Joel. Yeah, he was one of my favourite punts in the forward line. That's why in my team selection video, he was one of my possible transfers for Guirassy or Mbappe. Keith says most of the games here are televised in Spanish channels. What does pelota mean? They say it constantly. It's just the ball, the football. They also could say balón. That's what they say in Spain, but pelota is more of a South American thing. Good luck one with Olmo and Thuram punt. I like that. I think one of Thuram or Taremi, one of them should do well. And you could say something similar with Olmo or Yamal. Yeah, exactly that, Jakob. Ryan puts his squad: Alisson, Raya, Dumfries, De Vrij, Hakimi, Koundé, Schlotterbeck, Salah, Rafinha captain, Elise, Dembele, Rodgers, Lewandowski, Alvarez, and Mbappe. I like the look of it. Yeah, Rodgers is one I'm looking at and thinking I might regret not buying him. The same goes for Asensio, but that's more of a riskier punt. And yeah, once again, thank you, Juniper. Transit Tube says, what were your thoughts on Olmo and his certainty in the team? I went Hakan because I wanted free Inter, free Barca, rather than 2 and 4. Not sure Olmo is safe, and Yamal is too highly owned. No wildcards, so played it safe. I get that. I think long term I'd rather have more Barcelona than Inter, but having 3 of each is fine. Kalinoglu's on penalties. He's more nailed on, generally speaking. And in the case of Olmo, we saw it last time, against Benfica last week. Barca went down to 10 men. Who did they sub off? Dani Olmo. So he's not safe at all. UCL site doesn't allow my Tuesday, Wednesday subs after my transfers. Yeah, I think the site is just glitched. That's why I've got my predictions still on screen. It's still loading. I don't know what's happening there. Okay, there we go. Now in familiar territory, we can anxiously count the ball recoveries and stuff like that. So let's get this as well. That's too far down, isn't it? That doesn't matter. But yeah, no early goals yet. That means I'll probably jinx it, but interesting. Yeah, I mean, from a neutral's perspective, I wouldn't mind if Benfica, caused an upset. It's just very unlikely. And from a UCL Fantasy perspective, that would probably be a bad thing for me after my purchase of Koundé. Yeah, that is it. I'll end the poll as well. So 52% went with Raya and Koundé as their suggested transfers, but essentially it's the same crap, isn't it? It's just Kobel to Raya or Schlotterbeck to Saliba, or Gabriel to Saliba. Something like that. I ended up selling Gabriel. So we'll see how that ends up going. Easy99 says, already transferred out Gabriel and Flamingo to Upamecano and Balde. Want to buy Koundé instead of Balde, but budget not enough. Yeah, I do think Koundé is significantly better, but if you can't afford him, then you can't afford him, right? And Balde might be decent from an attacking perspective at times. Yeah, maybe he can, maybe. Website just fixed itself. Same here. It took a while, though. Good luck, Miguel Costa. How many points did you score last match day? You can literally see on the left-hand side, mate, when it says MD points, match day points, 72. So it was a green arrow to 34k, so I'm basically around where I was going into match day 9, but it has been disappointing. I'll be honest, Nauman, I don't know what Arsenal's attack is going to be. One lineup I saw had Sterling, Trossard, and Merino. Another one had Martinelli on the left. I think a lot of them do agree that Sterling will start. I mean, surely he's going to get the nod here. But yeah, it's going to be difficult to predict the other 2 spots. I transferred De Vrij for Trent. Was it worth it? For this match day, I do prefer De Vrij. I still think Liverpool can keep a clean sheet, by the way, against PSG, but I've gone for 2-1. Alberto says, are you Argentinian? And if yes, do you also not like Mexicans like a proper Argentinian? I'm Mexican, by the way. Cheers, mate. Nice content, and thanks for everything, hermano. Well, I know some Mexicans myself, so I'm not going to say I don't like Mexicans. And, you know, who doesn't like Mexican women, for example? But in football, it's kind of strange. I mean, there's this kind of weird rivalry between Argentina and Mexico, maybe because we faced each other so much in World Cups. But yes, I am Argentinian. At least I've got dual nationality. That's why I've got a British accent. I was born and raised in the UK, but my family are from Argentina. So that's why I speak at home and can speak it to a okay level. So yeah, good luck as well, Alberto. And no hard feelings, hopefully, between Mexico and Argentina. Omar says, could have done Barcola to Rogers, but I didn't want to take a -4. This is UCL Fantasy. Yeah, I wouldn't have taken a -4 hit for that, I think. But Rogers does look better this week. Definitely. For the next round, if PSG were able to go through, I'd definitely prefer PSG midfielders over Rogers, but that's a big if. Thanks, Dylan. This was great as always. Thank you very much, Hind. I transferred the Vrij for Trent. Was it worth it? Yeah, just covered. Barcelona 2, Benfica 1, Milan 2, Feyenoord 0, I'm guessing. Leverkusen 0, Bayern 1, Liverpool 2, PSG 2, Lille 2, Dortmund 0, Arsenal 1, PSV 1, Aston Villa 2, Club Brugge 0, Atletico 2, Real Madrid 1. So who goes through then for Atletico Real Madrid? Surely that goes to penalties then. No away goals anymore. I might change Arsenal prediction depending on the lineup. Yeah, I get that. I think you said the same thing for the last game. Originally going for 1-0 PSV. If Benfica cause an upset, it will piss me off as I went for them last week. Yeah, I don't mind because I've got the wild card and some people might struggle with triple or 4 quadruple Barcelona players, so I'm not too against it. FP Oliver says, bye Dylan, good luck everyone, see you in the next UCL stream. Yeah, a few weeks until the next one I think, but I will be here. We do have an international break and a pretty nice rest, you could say, for FPL and UCL Fantasy after this weekend. John says, I punted Pavlidis and transferred in today, so he will get a hat-trick. Good luck, John. And there is a goal already, Rafinha. Rafinha scored. Okay, nice start. Rafinha's just on a mad one. That's what I'm saying. When people ask me about... Has it stood, by the way? Maybe it has. Yeah, there is this debate about Salah Rafinha. In the Champions League, I think Rafinha's been much better so far. So, yeah, I think that will be very important in terms of determining the Ballon d'Or winner. They are the current front-runners. Salah's been better in the league, and in the Champions League, Rafinha's been the best one overall. My team, Lewandowski, Guirassy, Rafinha, captain, Musiala, Dembele, Elise, Trent, Dumfries, Upamecano, Hakimi, Sommer. Nice. I like the look of that. Very good squad. Hakimi's the only one I don't like for this match day, but he's also got that attacking potential. But yeah, Barcelona have gone 1-0 up. It hasn't been addressed in the website. Yamal got the assist. So those with Yamal as well. Very good start to the week. 2-0 Barcelona up by aggregate. Or they are 2-0 up on aggregate, should I say. I just want to know if the squad, if it isn't a problem for you, says Petros. What is this in reference to? Yeah, well, that was covered in my team selection and also in the graphics today. I can just show you now in this section. And I'll pause it before it gets to the transfer section because that's all redundant now. That has all been addressed. But yeah, that's how I did. Alisson was the star of the show. He got player of the match, making 9 saves against PSG. Dumfries and De Vrij carried my defensive line. Grimaldo blanked. Gabriel also conceded, but at least got some ball recovery points. In the midfield, Rafinha as my captain did the business. Elise got an assist, but was overshadowed by Kane and Musiala. And Adeyemi scored. He was my favourite midfielder and attacker with that low ownership of 10%. Wirtz has picked up an injury, of course. He blanked against Bayern Munich. He's got a poor record against them. And Mohamed Salah blanked as well and played very poorly against PSG. And Lewandowski blanked amongst my other forwards, Guirassy and Mbappe. And as you can see on my bench, Schlotterbeck was the only one with somewhat of a return with ball recoveries. The rest did very poorly. And there, that's how it came to be. I got 72 points. Rank went up by 7,000 places, I think, to 34k. Not great, but it's better than nothing. And what I'm going to do now, if I go back to my UCL Fantasy page, is quickly update certain things. And this will be in time for the next deadline stream in a couple of weeks' time. Let's see. But yeah, UCL Fantasy has been very buggy today, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see how much we've got on the bank now. So 1.5 million in the bank. As you can see there on the bottom of your screen, 5 free transfers. Actually, you can't see it. Maybe I'll full screen this for you. Yeah, 5 free transfers now for the first leg of the quarterfinals. Let me quickly update that. So I've made 3 transfers. And now we've got 5 for the next set of matches. And I've got 1.5 million. But there were some price changes, I think, right? So we'll see how much team value I've got now. This is basically what I've got to go for every time when I'm making the graphics and seeing what my squad value is looking like. But yeah, let's see. So 107.8 million, that's my team value. So yeah, interesting stuff. They still haven't updated the points and the score, by the way, so they are slacking a little bit. Maybe they forgot the deadline. A bit like FPL very recently. But yeah, there you go, 1.5 million. I don't think much has changed in terms of prices, right? Let's see. No, nothing's changed really. Kunde? No, I think Kunde was already 5.6, wasn't he? I actually forgot what Kunde was. I need to double check that. Maybe the graphics I've got will help me, because I did make a list of that. So let's see. Let's skip ahead to Jules Koundé. No, he was already 5.6 million. Yeah, so nothing's really changed. No, nothing's changed. Salah 10.1 million now. Yeah, that's surprising. Mbappe 11.1. No price changes. That's surprising. I have to say that. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so let's see if I can quickly update this, go back to your questions and comments, and maybe there'll be another goal or two whilst I go back to the main screen. But this is roughly my updated team value after my free transfers that I made for Matchday 12. So the squad value should be roughly, about right. That will be updated anyway in future videos and podcasts. Let's now go back to the main screen here. Benfica have scored, they've equalised, so Jinx Koundé. Yeah, that's nice. So yeah, 1-1 already. Otamendi scored, wow. Fair play. Fair play. I mean, he is good from set pieces, right? That's surely how he scored. Damn, Otamendi ruining my clean sheet. Yeah, little bastard. Yeah, maybe selling Gabriel will end up backfiring massively. So yeah, people celebrated those Rafinha goals, of course, even though he's quite template. Yeah, I think so, easy 9-9. What an assist from Yamal, says Miro. I don't think Bastoni will start. That's been covered quite a lot. Yeah, good team, Reina. But like I mentioned earlier, I'm not a big fan of Hakimi this week. Got both Yamal and Rafinha captain. Nicely done. One, if you can answer this as a Spanish speaker, why is Athletic Bilbao but Atletico Madrid? Why don't Atletico Madrid have an H? Athletic Bilbao. No, I think Athletic Bilbao don't have an O at the end. Yeah, they're just called Athletic Bilbao. So that's why they're not... Basically, their name is not in Spanish. That's pretty much why. Whilst Atletico Madrid have it in Spanish. So yeah, I hate to disappoint with the answer, but that is generally the truth. Forwards have been pretty erratic this season. Yeah. Like, for example, when I had Kane, he was very underwhelming, like in the knockout playoff rounds. And then when I don't have him, he scores a brace. Garassi, I sell him at the wrong time. He scores off the bench. Then when I get him, does well against Sporting, to be fair, in the first leg. Then blanks, misses a penalty, and then blanks again against Lille. But yeah, look, it's impossible to maintain these standards over a course of a 38-game season in the Premier League or in the Champions League 17 matches. Good luck and good day. Likewise, John. What a start to the game. Yeah, not surprised though. I went for a 3-1 win for Barcelona, so this is looking pretty good for my predictor. With Barca to score first, Rafinha captain. Surely Lewandowski does something though. That's another guy. When I didn't have him in the league phase, he just couldn't stop scoring. And when I have him, so far it's been terrible. So hopefully he can fix up a little bit. So, let's see if there's any more goals to report. But yeah, everyone is up to date on the chat. I had 72 points in the first leg. Decent stuff. I have 107.0. Yeah, good squad value. Some people might have even 108 or more. Yeah, Callum, are you doing F1 Fantasy this year? I'll be playing it. I've got some good ranks on board, but in terms of content, no. I did do some videos and live streams a few years ago, but yeah, I think the main focus is on UCL Fantasy and FPL. F1 Fantasy does have a decent player base, but in terms of YouTube viewers and stuff, it's just not quite there yet, I think. Twisted Parky says goals good, but forgot to save Lewandowski to Rafinha. Oof. At least you've got Rafinha, though, but yeah, it's not exactly what you want to hear. Yeah, Reiner says, yes, it's Athletic. So no H in Atletico, because H is not Spanish spelling. Hopefully Lewandowski does something. Hopefully, but he's been fairly underwhelming recently. He blanked in Matchday 8 against Atalanta, and of course in the first leg. Thoughts on United's new stadium look? Looks like a circus tent plus spiderweb combined stadium. That's harsh. I mean, they always look so good in terms of concept pictures, but I'll wait and see how it actually looks, for sure. I dropped Otamendi for Martinez too. Oof. I mean, that's the thing with UCL Fantasy and football. It's unpredictable at times. We all expect Barcelona to go through. But, yeah, Otamendi, man, he's good for the headers. I was never going to recommend him, though, against Barcelona. But he was someone I was quite, you know, keen on for the knockout playoff rounds, especially Matchday 10. Shame I didn't go for him for Matchday 9. He did very well there, too. But, yeah, that's all good. That's all covered. Before I go, I want to do a quick shout-out to the members and patrons. Of course, a massive shout-out to the Super Chatters. We hit our goal, and that's why the live stream is going on for even longer. And yeah, we are close to the 3-hour mark, but very soon we will call it a day. And let's see how we got on. So yeah, we are somewhat close to 400, but if you haven't done so already, drop a like. It is greatly appreciated. And yeah, it's been a very, very important, very pleasant UCL Fantasy deadline stream with a lot of key questions answered. Definitive coverage, a good start with some goals, albeit I did buy Koundé and I've jinxed them already. Nothing surprising there. So with the shoutouts, let's do this very quickly. Well, not quickly, we'll take our time, but hopefully my technology doesn't bug out. So a big shout out to Aldo Victoria, Laurentiu, Notre Dame, Daniel Zaremba, Stephen Reed, Doran Masumi, Matt Steen, Nico Patel, Alex Orloff, Luis Alexander, Rodrigo Urias, and Federico Caliso. And just to kind of update some of the newest members and stuff. And of course, a big up to Paredes for gifting membership today. So, the likes of Zodiac, Zaki, Bestie, Arda Merich, Natalie S. Oh, it's doing that thing again. Primsy, Anish, Papa Palps, Baraf. I don't know why this does it. Jakub. Basically, when I'm reading out the list, it scrolls back up, so I can't even read it. So I'm going to have to go to my phone, I think, and read this list, because YouTube is being very finicky here. So let's get this up. Let's get the members up here. I think I can get the list up on... Oh, no. That's... So yeah, the YouTube Studio thing doesn't actually have it. That's not great. Well, let me try again and see if I can read out the rest of the bloody names, but this happened last time as well. I'm not sure what they're doing. Bro, what is this? Alright, let's try again. So to Def, to Algot, to Christian Delgadillo, Rishi Aneja, Aman Davar, Dan Dada. Let's see. Ben Stewart, Unruly DMV, SOCLH, OK. And let's see if I can finally get to the last few names, because this is an absolute nightmare. I can't read out members anymore because of this stupid page. John G, Gabriel Fernandez, Alex Leadham, George Popescu, That Air. Some of them I remember off the top of my head. That's literally how I can read them out. Keith, of course, a big up to you. Simon Spears, Ulysses United. Jazabi, Gabriel R, Miguel Mario 8, Exotic Log, Ahmed. That's Ahmed. Let's see if I can get it again. No, it's literally wrestling with me right now. Helfawi, I think it is, but I literally can't read the name. What is this? I honestly don't get it. Richard Milichip, Ventislav, Dombru, 1. Gopal as well, Sekar. And I think that concludes the list, but yeah, if someone can tell me why YouTube is constantly scrolling up for me when I'm reading out members, I'd really appreciate that. Thank you, Napstars, as well, for your contributions. Potter last night, not a kind of magic as an assistant manager. What a crap game to watch. Yeah, I ended up sticking with Postecoglou. I literally didn't make any changes to the FPL challenge. It's a good thing I didn't. Usually when I do, it means I lose out on points. For example, last week, or a few weeks ago, I think I sold Diaz to Jota, and then Diaz got a goal and an assist, winning a penalty. Imagine Benfica knock Barcelona out. It's possible. Is 50k a good rank in UCL Fantasy? Yeah, I think so, but it's all relative, of course. But yeah, 50k is still a good rank. I have 1,221 rank. Nicely done. Keep it going. Are you getting Haaland and or selling Palmer? It's possible. I did mention the different scenarios where in one case I take a -4 hit and I sell Palmer to get Haaland. I'll talk about this in my team selection because the alternative is just getting 2 free transfers and keeping Palmer. Tuesday games this season always get more goals than Wednesday. Yeah, which might be good for those with Arsenal defenders tomorrow or David Raya, assuming he starts. Yeah, Football Freak, apparently Lautaro will be on the bench. Pedro Brighton's Raf says, Twisted Parky, how to check team value in UCL? I have played for 4 years. And I had no idea you could do that. All I do is just remove every single player. It's long, but you go to the transfer section. I literally did it a few minutes ago on screen, and just remove every player and see what you have in the bank. So that's what I basically do. Then I basically subtract the money in the bank, and then put my team value on the graphics you see on the left-hand side, and then you see my money in the bank as well, overall. Palmer to sell after 7 blanks in a row. He transfers out in game week 30 no matter what for Newcastle Palace mid. I still think he's a good option though, and he'll probably burn those that sell him, but yeah, those that sold him a few weeks ago have definitely been doing very well, I think, in that regard. 146 in challenge. Potter could have got me so high in challenge. I was out in a restaurant and was so close to changing to Ange before the Spurs game started. Wish I did. And to be fair, it was looking quite, grim? Can't even speak English today. It was looking quite grim for Spurs. They were 2-0 down. And obviously they came back. And it was a very high-scoring game in the end. So 2-1 to Son. I had the app open and Ange selected but didn't save it. Spurs have been so up and down. I actually went for 2-2 though in my prediction. And I thought Newcastle would beat West Ham. So I followed that up and went for Ange Postecoglou. Yamal 2-1. So there you go. Yamal. I said he's not a great goal scorer, which he isn't, but there you go. He's the one stealing the show today. He's on course to get player of the match. Inigo Martinez 4 ball recoveries. Yeah, that's great because Koundé has, what, 2? 1? 0? Yeah, he's got 1 ball recovery. That's pretty poor. But yeah, it looks like it's not Koundé's time to shine. I was going to go for him if I hadn't played the Limitless. That's the thing. Sometimes by playing a certain chip, it can change certain things and it can backfire at times, but the Limitless is still a good time to use it, I think, Matchday 12, but all season I've been saying Matchday 2 to 7, that's when I would recommend it. And from those available now, I still prefer Matchday 12 to the future rounds, in my opinion. Who got the assists? Well, that is the question, isn't it? I'm not watching the game right now because I'm focused on your questions and I don't want to cause any problems to the chat. Yeah, Rafinha got the assist. Wow, Rafinha and Yamal are cooking. So unless Yamal scored a solo goal, Rafinha should be awarded the assist fairly soon. So great start there for those with Rafinha and Yamal. It looks like that was the way to go. No assists as MMK. Hindsight, I had wanted to bring Yamal in. Yeah, well, if you're saying no assist, just wait a little bit because they do take quite some time to update even the goals, but specifically the assists, they can be quite lethargic with that, very slow. But if it was like a solo goal by Yamal, then that will classify as no assist to Rafinha. But I have no idea the type of goal Yamal scored, of course. But yeah, I appreciate those that were updating me on the scores. A decent start to UCL Fantasy, but I'm a bit gutted about buying Koundé. Maybe he can salvage that with some ball recoveries, but almost certainly he'll be subbed off, I think. unless Lewandowski still blanks. Come on, Lewandowski, do something, you absolute pillock. Even though, at least I didn't captain him, but there you go. If you haven't already, smash the like button, subscribe for new, and keep your eyes peeled for much more content. Hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single upload for UCL Fantasy or FPL. There is a bit of a break after this weekend, and we've got another international break on the horizon. It has been a while since we've had one of those. But this week, there is still a lot of content. The best free hit team, perhaps even a wildcard squad, my team selection, and a deadline stream. I'll also do a reaction stream this weekend as well. That is the plan. And then I'll space out content for Game Week 30, it would be, for Fantasy Premier League. And for UCL Fantasy, Matchday 13 will be next on the agenda. On FootMob, it says no assist. Interesting. I'll have a look. I think SofaScore have put Rafinha assist, though. Yeah, Rafinha assist. And I'm going to check the UCL Fantasy app again. So far, Rafinha hasn't got the assist. But it's not the end of the world. Let's see, live updates. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like the assist will be given eventually. So just give it a little bit of time. Sold your man match day 5. Think he was out. I'm going to get him back. Oh yeah, for the next round against Lille or Dortmund, I'm very keen on buying another Barcelona player. Probably an attacker, I think. So yeah, Yamal will be on top of the agenda. He hasn't scored in quite a while, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to have to double check that. But yeah, you can see my socials on screen. And they have obviously been promoted before. You can see the links in the description. But let's go back to the website one more time. No assist yet for Rafinha being given by UCL Fantasy. I'm going to quickly check Rafinha's, should I say, Yamal's goal scoring record. So, yeah, he scored against Valencia in February, to be fair, and against Atalanta. Yeah, I mean, he's got a fairly decent goals and assist record. It's just nowhere near as good as Lewandowski and Rafinha. But guess what? Lewandowski's blanking, so yeah. And same with Jules Koundé. Not great for me there, but decent captain nonetheless. Once Rafinha's assist is added, which it hasn't been yet. But yeah, don't be too impatient with that. Give it some time. If he doesn't get the assist, we can complain about it afterwards, I'm sure. Okay, I see it now. Okay, that's on FootMob, I'm guessing, not UCL Fantasy. They do update it automatically. You don't need to refresh the page there. But yeah, I appreciate that. Copyright Football Videos, great name. Got both Yamal and Rafinha captain. That's a great way to start the week, for sure. When will you stick captain 1, return enough or 2? It depends on the context, right? But it's not like last season for the round of 16 where we had 4 captaincy options on each match day. So when you've only got 2, I'm actually quite happy to just stick with 8 or 9 points as my captain. So yeah, I think 1 return might be enough for a midfielder. For a forward, it might be slightly different. So a goal and play of the match, or getting a goal and an assist, is probably what I'm looking for. Thank you, Richard Millichip. Thanks again for your help, Dylan. Good luck for the rest of the match day. The same goes to you, and I hope to see you in the upcoming deadline streams for FPL and UCL Fantasy. The Mantis says, forgot to change my squad and have Bastoni in my lineup. Yeah, he won't start, I think, the Mantis. So just to show you the lineup, which has been highly requested all week, basically. This is what Sky Sports Italia have gone for. Sommer in goal, which was confirmed by Inzaghi. Jose Martinez will be on the bench. Pavard, De Vrij and Bissek, with Dumfries, Vertesi, Kalanoglu, Mkhitaryan and Carlos Augusto. Thuram and Taremi up front. No Lautaro Martinez, no Bastoni, and no Acerbi, because today we got an update saying De Vrij is now predicted to start ahead of Acerbi. So things have changed, of course, very recently. But thank you to everyone for tuning in, and it has been a pleasure. The assist should count. Like I said, as long as Yamal's goal wasn't a solo goal, and of course the rules do make it quite clear what constitutes an assist or what doesn't, he should be fine, and the assist should be awarded fairly soon. But maybe this is something to talk about in my team selection video for Matchday 13 in a couple of weeks' time, or on Twitter, the Discord server. All those links are in the description. Vinicius, Rodgers, Gabriel or Raya tomorrow, if Lewandowski blanks. Yeah, as a captain, it would be Vinicius for me, but a slight temptation for Rodgers. I don't think I'd captain Gabriel or Raya. That game is also at 8 PM, and there's a chance one of them is benched, so I wouldn't captain one of those. I think having them start is already enough of a risk, So it's either Vinicius or Rodgers as your captain tomorrow if Lewandowski flops. Hopefully he doesn't and can score by the end of the 90 minutes. Thank you everyone for watching. It has been a pleasure. I'll see you very soon for more FPL and the UCL Fantasy videos. Like I said, there's a lot headed your way this week for Blank Gimmick 29. Take care, enjoy the football, and I'll see you very soon for those live streams. There is one on Saturday for FPL.